I was just an ordinary dude gaming in my bedroom, right as I took down the final boss. And before I could even see what loot dropped, lightning blasted my PC and completely knocked me out. When I finally came to, I was crashed on a crappy bed made of 2 wooden planks, inside a straw shack, having absolutely no clue where I was. Suddenly, my head began throbbing like crazy, and random memories that weren't even mine flooded my mind. Turns out, I've ended up in the body of some guy also named Long Fei, surviving in a world called the Tianmu continent, where raw power rules supreme. This version of me actually used to be a big deal. The rightful heir to the divine dragon Marquis Manor. We're talking a legendary lineage. Our ancestor, Long Jiantian, once slaughtered a dragon god, wielding nothing but a mountain-splitting blade, drenched himself in its blood, and basically helped build the entire holy dynasty. Every single generation of our clan breeds a powerful dragon god warrior, and I was slated to be the chosen one for this era. By age 9, I had already advanced to a level 5 warrior. By 14, I hit 2nd rank battlemaster, making me the ultimate prodigy in the whole kingdom. Everyone hyped me up and constantly tried to kiss up to me. Then, everything went downhill. Some mysteriously powerful powerhouse showed up, completely shattered my Danteon, the exact core where you pool energy to fight, and forcibly ripped the dragon god bloodline clean out of my body just like that. I crashed from elite prodigy straight to absolute trash. Cultivating was out of the question, and I couldn't even take down a beggar on the street. For a whole year, everyone pushed me around. My own relatives treated me like total garbage, and the freeloaders who used to suck up to me now just laughed straight in my face. Once the clan patriarch entered his ultimate isolation, they completely cut off my rations and resources. They made it clear, the Long clan has no room for freeloaders. Just 3 days back, my cousin Long AO bashed me so hard that I smashed straight into a stone monument and blacked out, all because I took a quick glance at the girl beside him. Talk about hitting rock bottom. Cut to now. I'm a present-day gamer, trapped inside a battered body in an alternate realm. I haven't got the slightest clue about cultivation. If this were an actual video game, I'd easily wipe the floor with anyone single-handedly. Too bad this world hasn't even heard of a computer. But right then, I spotted a flashing icon in my mind. A reward crate, just like the ones you find in MMOs. I figured I was losing my mind, but I decided to focus on it anyway. As if clicking a mouse, a prompt chimed in. Greetings, host Long Fei. You have successfully unlocked the Berserk system. Would you like to review your current stats? An entire RPG-style character screen materialized in my head. Player, Long Fei. Level 0. Chi none. Abilities none. However, one particular metric grabbed my attention. Unassigned points, 100. Plus, there were countless locked features waiting for higher levels. I couldn't suppress a smirk. Cultivation might be a total mystery to me, but when it comes to gaming, I am a pro. No one could touch me back in my old life. And absolutely no one is going to beat me here either. Things are finally starting to look up for me. I was lounging on my mattress, inspecting this new interface, when Chow Chow burst inside. She's a maidservant, whom the clan elder took in years ago, to look after me after my folks went missing. She stuck with me through thick and thin. Back when I was a prodigy, she quietly stayed in the shadows. But the moment I became a nobody, she stuck by me in this broken-down shack and looked after me. Honestly, I'd be dead by now without her. She is genuinely the only person left in this world who cares about me. And since I grew up as an orphan in my past life, I value her loyalty more than anything. Before we could even have a real chat, someone aggressively kicked open the courtyard gate. It was Lee San, one of the low-level managers from the manor. The guy was here to shake us down for cash. As it turns out, right after Long AO beat me into a coma a few days back, Chow Chow had to borrow funds from Lee San just to buy my medicine. The original agreement gave us 3 months to repay it, but somehow the contract got rigged down to just 3 days. And today, time was officially up. This creep was absolutely repulsive. He told Xiao Xiao that if she spent a single night with him, he'd wipe the debt clean. Meanwhile, he kept talking trash, calling me a useless loser, claiming everyone in the Long family wanted me dead anyway, and insisting Xiao Xiao would be way better off with him. I snapped. I marched right out there to step to him, but he just laughed in my face. He was a level 1 warrior, and I was sitting at level 0, a total nobody. He bragged he could crush me with one hand. Right then, I spotted a toad crawling out from a nearby hole, complete with a health bar hovering over its head. So I instantly stomped it. Suddenly, 3 system alerts echoed in my mind all at once. First, I gained 10 experience points for squashing the toad. Second, the special Berserk stat activated. unlocking a legendary divine skill called the Toad Technique. Third, I successfully leveled up to a level 1 warrior. I immediately hit accept to learn the skill. Instantly, a surge of pure rage began boiling in my veins. My body dropped heavily down to the dirt, and I let out a bizarre, deep croak. Chow Chow looked absolutely petrified. Lee Sin cracked up, assuming I was on my knees begging for mercy. But he couldn't even finish his sentence. I shot forward like a rocket and plowed straight into his gut. His eyes nearly popped right out. He went flying back and smashed right through a mud wall, bringing it crashing down. I pinned his face under my boot and glared down at him. The guy still had the nerve to threaten me, claiming his uncle was the chief steward, Long Deo, and that I'd seriously regret this. Chow Chow rushed over, pleading with me not to end him, warning me that his uncle would never let us live it down. Lee Sun smirked, starting up with his threats all over again. He didn't get the chance to finish. I smashed a fist into his skull with everything I had. Channeling the Toad Technique, his head split wide open, and blood splattered all over my face, as lightning flashed right behind me. Anyone who tries to threaten me, I muttered, gets the exact same outcome, death. Once Lee San was dead, the system chimed in again. I raked in 100 experience points, 10 spirit energy, 10 berserk energy, and 200 silver coins. Right after that, I advanced to a level 2 warrior. And on top of that, hitting level 2 unlocked a special beginner gift pack. But first, I took a look at that Toad Technique I'd scored earlier. Turns out it was a god-tier skill, far surpassing the 4 standard ranks of this world. It features 2 distinct combat modes, one fueled by raw physical power, and another driven by true energy, which can activate a secret ability called Strangle. I was completely stunned. In all my years of gaming, I'd barely ever dropped a god-tier skill. Yet here I got one just from squashing a toad. I also managed to wrap my head around the berserk system. It takes exactly 100 points to activate the berserk stat. Plus, dropping a dude scores you 10 points. So, pretty much, anyone trying to cross me is just leveling me up. Next, I popped open the beginner starter pack. An alert started blowing up my mind. Standard swordplay, potion crafting, forging weapons, engraving arrays, making charms, taming beasts, and building puppets. Literally every auxiliary trade found across this land. I mastered them all on the spot, though they maxed out at rank 1. Still, I could easily rank up each of them by grinding XP, just like playing an RPG. Normal folks require rare gifts to learn this stuff. Alchemists gotta have a fire affinity, and formation masters need an element affinity. I don't need that crap, I just need to put the time in. I was completely hyped. I grabbed Chow Chow and planted a kiss right on her cheek. Caught totally off guard, she instantly froze, her whole face flushing as red as a tomato. I promised her that our luck was turning around. Then I locked in, because I had to dispose of Lee San's corpse. His uncle, Long Dayo, the head manager, would definitely come sniffing around. That's when Chow Chow let it slip. That Lee San had actually been keeping tabs on me, for his uncle, on a daily basis. The guy was a mole, which only proved that he got what he deserved. I handed the 200 silver coins to Chow Chow, and told her to lay low somewhere out in the city. I had to skip town to grind my stats. I let her know it might take half a year, maybe even a full year, but I'd be back. There were way too many jerks in the Long clan that I still needed to get even with, especially whoever ordered the hit that wrecked my core and ripped away my heritage. I bet some high-ranking elder in the family pulled the strings. If they ever figure out that I can cultivate again, they were gunning for me, so I had to split, get some power-ups and return to handle them. One by one, Cho-Cho was in tears, but she nodded. We ditched the Long estate together. In a total downpour, I got her all set up in a shabby little place over in the west side slums, then made tracks right through the city gates, heading straight for the Yunwan Mountains. Meanwhile, back at the prince's palace, word of my exit reached Prince Nangong Lei. He figured I was just some cripple, marching straight to my grave in the wild, so I wasn't even worth his time. He didn't bother sending a soul after me. Following a day and a half of trekking, I finally hit the Holy Mountain Range, one of the 4 major peaks across the Tianmu continent. This zone is pretty much a death trap. It's absolutely swarming with demon beasts, ranging anywhere from level 1 to 9, plus mythical and holy beasts sitting way above that. Folks who venture inside rarely make it out alive. These mountains actually share some history with my clan, too. A while back, the head of the Long family, Long Zhanhai, perished battling the demon lord, deep within this wilderness. And our heirloom treasure, the dragon slaying blade, forged from actual dragon god blood, disappeared right alongside him. The family's been hunting for it ever since, but nobody's ever found a single clue. None of that mattered to me at the moment. I had exactly one objective, grinding XP. I played it smart at first, sticking to the perimeter, and farming harmless little targets, bunnies, wild hens, and stuff like that. Just 10 experience points a pop. It was a total grind, but I know how gaming works. You gotta build from scratch. 2 days in, and I finally dinged level 3. 3 more days, hit level 4. Still slacking. 10 days later, level 5 by that point. I'd left a massive pile of dead rabbits and chickens in my wake. With every single kill, I drilled my basic swordplay and toad technique, just to grind their proficiency up. Sword mastery finally hit level 3, while toad technique reached 5,000 out of 10,000 mastery. Halfway to the next rank, I ventured further into the peaks. 2 weeks later, I broke through to a level 6 warrior and pushed straight into the core of the mountain range. The vibe here felt dangerous. A level 6 warrior can take on level 1 demon beasts, but a level 2 monster would absolutely wreck me. Suddenly, a massive gray wolf ambushed me. Man-sized, with fur sharp as steel needles, and glowing green eyes. I dropped into toad technique stance and rocketed straight into its gut like a cannonball. While the beast was dazed, I caved its skull in with club. The system rewarded me with 100 EXP, 10 true energy, and 1 berserk energy point. Produce a wolf bed. That's when it clicked. Hunting demon beasts yielded way more EXP than farm rabbits. Not to mention the true energy and berserk points. Slaying people grants 10 berserk points a pop, whereas monsters only drop a single point. But the silver lining is there are thousands of beasts. Roaming out here, I reviewed my stats. Level 6 warrior, 90 true energy, and 11 berserk points. I required 100 berserk points to activate the berserk mod once again. So, I went on a killing spree. Pythons, tiger beasts, long-armed apes. I slaughtered everything in my path. Back in my past life, I once pulled a 7-day gaming marathon, staying glued to the screen, just to claim that top spot on the leaderboard. Hey, the grind is what I do best. 3 straight days and nights without taking a single breather, and then the system finally pinged, with the exact alert I'd been waiting for. Berserk energy fully maxed out. Now that my berserk meter was completely full, I wanted to track down the baddest monster around, to unleash it on a high-tier enemy. Better mobs mean better loot. That's just gaming 101. So, I went hunting for a level 2 demon beast. But after trekking around for roughly half an hour, things started feeling weird. There wasn't a single creature in sight, not even the tiny ones. The woods were dead quiet and seriously spooky. Right then, an unusual aroma caught my attention. In nearly 2 months of roaming these peaks, I'd never crossed paths with a scent quite like this. I knew for a fact it was a spirit fruit, an item forged straight from the cosmic essence of heaven and earth. Yet, I also knew that wherever a spirit fruit ripens, some overpowered monster is bound to be guarding it. I masked myself using mud, crushed leaf juice and twigs strapped to my back, and dropped flat to the dirt right beside some thickets. Totally camouflaged. From that spot, I could make out a valley cave glowing with a crimson light. The fruit was inside, and it was reaching peak maturity. I decided to play the long game as the patient third party, letting the big bosses duke it out, while I bided my time for the perfect strike. Day 1 went by. Nothing happened. Day 2 still zilch. I was losing my mind. But on the 3rd day, gloomy clouds swirled in as thunder began to rumble. A massive lightning strike tore through the sky, and a twin-horned serpent plunged from the heavy clouds, slamming right down at the cave's mouth. A flood dragon, a peak level 9 beast. Basically a straight-up divine beast. Just one more evolution and it had become a legit dragon. Suddenly, the cave flashed pure white, and a snow-white wolf appeared right at the entrance, its entire body radiating with spiritual light. Thanks to my system, I could see both of them glowing with a golden aura, the exact same shine that flags a boss in video games. They locked eyes, staring each other down, and then all hell broke loose. Water blasts, wind blades, claws, and fangs. The entire mountain shuddered, and every beast for miles fled. They kept fighting from day into night, and straight through to the next morning. The flood dragon was losing scales left and right, while the white wolf was completely covered in bleeding gashes. Neither of them could get the upper hand. But then, a crimson light erupted from the cave, shooting straight up into the sky. The spirit fruit had finally ripened. Both monsters knew they had only a tiny window to harvest it, before it would disintegrate into dust. So, they started throwing absolute everything at each other. The flood dragon suddenly split into 2 copies. Some kind of illusion technique. Without even thinking, I leaped out and yelled, "The real one is on your right." The white wolf actually seemed to catch on. It whipped around and slammed both paws right onto the actual dragon. The dragon shrieked and sank its teeth into the wolf. And the wolf bit back hard. They locked onto one another, refusing to let go. This was my golden opportunity. I dashed forward and scanned their HP bars. The flood dragon had less health remaining. Channeling my true energy, I triggered the toad technique, propelled myself right into the dragon's maw, and smashed its fangs loose. Right at that moment, the stealth modifier procced. Strangle. Some internal force completely ruptured the beast's organs, and its remaining HP plummeted to 0. That massive carcass slammed hard onto the dirt, those massive, lantern-sized eyes glaring at me in total shock. As the system chimed, my chest was pounding. I fully unleashed my inner fury, going full berserk mode. The notifications went totally off the rails. Taking down that tier 9 flood dragon just netted me a cool 1,000,000 experience points, 10,000 true energy, and I instantly shot up 5 levels, landing straight into second-rank battle master territory. To top it off, I scored the dragon's essence blood, plus 3 elemental beast cores, Gale, Phantasm, and Torrent. Every single one was peak tier 9 and worth a fortune. But the ultimate jackpot was a god-tier skill, dubbed the Dragon Slaying Blade Technique. And what's crazier, the actual Dragon Slaying Blade drop, too. My clan's long-lost heirloom weapon that they've been hunting for over a millennium. The edge was snapped right in half, so the system flagged it as a fractured divine relic. Yet, even broken, its attributes were absolutely nuts. A 13,000-pound weight with SSS tier destructive capability, a 200% damage boost against demonic fiends, and 500% against dragons. Better yet, it packed a passive move called Dragon Slaying Strike, boasting a 1% proc rate. I attempted to unsheath it for a few practice swings, but the prompt told me my wrist power was way too low. It required 99 points, and I was sitting at a mere 50. Bummer, but it just means I gotta grind more levels. Suddenly, a secret objective popped up to restore the Dragon Slaying Blade. Time limit, 1 year. Difficulty, S rank. The completion rewards were massive XP, pure energy, a buff proc rate for the Dragon Slaying Strike, along with an item called The Mystery of the Dragon Slaying Blade. That initial hint led straight to the Nangong Royals. Right away, I mastered the Dragon Slaying Blade style, unlocking 7 moves. Each strike stacks up a layer of blade aura. Once you chain all 7, you trigger a Dragon Slaying Rampage at 500% power. Plus, the damage doubles if you wield the real sword. Next up, I synthesized all 3 beast cores, gaining a 10% comprehension boost in wind, illusion, and water elements. This significantly buffed my offense, defense, and mastery speed for those specific attributes. That's when I caught the white wolf locking eyes with me. She was losing a ton of blood, and she was heavily pregnant. Her brutal clash with the dragon had triggered major complications. She was fading fast, stuck in a critical labor. As she kept her eyes fixed on me, she glanced over at the cavern. I asked if she needed me to retrieve the spirit fruit, to pull her through. She just gestured no, looking down at the newborn pup, struggling underneath her, still trapped in its birth sac. She was begging me to save her baby. Not her. She knew damn well she was already too far gone. I didn't think twice. Honestly, she was the sole reason I'd secured all this insane loot in the first place. If she hadn't pushed that dragon to the absolute brink, I wouldn't have stood a single chance. I bolted straight into the cave and snatched up the glowing crimson spirit fruit, completely ignoring its item descriptions. I was terrified that the temptation might override my morals. Rushing back outside, I found a mother wolf hanging by a thread. I carefully tore the bloody sack off the tiny, snow-white pup and gently slipped the fruit into its jaws. The mother stared back at me, offering a faint smile as her voice echoed in my mind. "Thank you." Then her body stiffened, and she passed away. The little wolf swallowed the fruit down, bouncing back instantly and began nuzzling my arm. Snuggled up in my arms, an idea flashed across my mind. "Master," the system pinged once more, as it validated the bond. The wolf pup was officially my companion now, and he wasn't just some ordinary pet. The prompt labeled him as a divine beast, a whole tier above his mother, who only ranked as a level 9 demonic creature. That spiritual fruit definitely forced his evolution right past that ceiling. Man, I'm glad I didn't chow down on it. With my current stats, that insane rush of energy would have literally blown me to pieces. I dubbed him Little White and stored him in the pet dimension. The interface unlocked. Since he was just a newborn, even with that overpowered god tier rating, he still had to grind for XP and level up alongside me. I swore to his late mother that I'd always have his back. And then it was right back to farming mobs. My objective was crystal clear: push my wrist power to 99, so I could finally swing the dragon-slaying blade. The sole path forward was leveling up. I trained like a madman, cycling through my entire toolkit with every single kill. Toad stance, fundamental blade arts, and the dragon-slaying style. Every single move burned through my stamina and inner reserves. The legendary blade style was brutal, sapping my life force and stamina with each slash. But the damage output was absolutely insane. I bit the bullet and kept pushing forward, hunting level 2 demonic beasts, and expanding my territory further out. 5 months flew by, and I hit level 5, achieving Battle Master. My basic swordsmanship hit tier 8. My toad stance advanced to tier 2, and the dragon-slaying blade technique finally reached tier 1. My overall offensive stats skyrocketed. Looking at the younger generation of the Long clan, I knew for a fact that nobody could touch me anymore. Day in and day out up in those peaks, I constantly replayed everything I went through, that ambush out of nowhere which ruined my cultivation, my own family abandoning me, the constant mockery and disgrace. It drove me. I kept telling myself daily, push harder, go back and force everyone who mocked me to bow. Little White grew as well, though he never ranked up. He just got super fat, turning into this chunky, pale ball of fluff that honestly resembled a pup more than a wolf. That little glutton could inhale barbecue meat, bigger than his entire body, in a single gulp, then just waddle off to pass out, chowing down and sleeping. That was his whole deal. Totally more pig than wolf, for real. Late at night, resting by the campfire, I'd stare at the stars and wonder about Xiao Xiao. Hoping she was doing all right, it was time to head home. Meanwhile, back in the city, Long Dao, the chief manager, whose nephew I oft, had hunted Xiao Xiao down in the poor district. He was livid, vowed to make me pay dearly. And right there on my final night in the wilderness, as I was roasting some meat, unfamiliar voices echoed through the woods. Some guys were tracking targets, women belonging to the heavenly sect. They noted the girls were hit with incapacitating smoke and couldn't have fled very far. Before I could even blink, a freezing edge was pressed against my throat. A sharp voice hissed, "Quiet, or you're dead." Man, I was having the best dream, just about to bathe with 3 gorgeous fairies, when this icy sensation on my neck startled me awake. Some girl was holding a blade to my throat, warning me to keep my mouth shut. A trio of women were taking cover in the cave, where I'd been crashing. 2 were wide awake, while the third was totally out cold on her friend's back. Turns out they were followers of a clan called the Heavenly Sect, and they'd just been blasted with some kind of blood refining, knockout gas, by a bunch of thugs from the rival blood refining sect. Their internal energy was drained down to a measly 10%. They were absolutely petrified. See, the blood refining sect abducts folks, milks their life force to juice up their own powers, and does far more twisted things to the ladies, before reanimating them as mindless blood corpses. The oldest of the bunch, whom they called Senior Sister, warned me not to make a peep or move an inch. I don't take too kindly to threats. In a split second, I slipped right past her blade, got behind her, and clamped my hand tight around her neck. Running on just 10% of her strength, she couldn't do a thing. The junior sister tried to jump in and help, but she just collapsed and fainted right there. Unfortunately, her yelp totally blew their cover. Those blood-refining sect creeps caught the sound and began closing in, snickering like pigs, about the vile things they planned to do to these little cuties. The senior sister was trembling so violently that she dropped her sword and begged me to end their lives, instead of letting them get captured alive. Earlier, the younger one had actually promised she'd offer her hand in marriage to whoever managed to rescue them. Look, I wasn't about to slaughter innocent girls, and I damn sure wasn't going to sit back while scumbags used cheap tricks to prey on them. That's where I draw the line. I execute those who have it coming, not random bystanders. The moment 2 blood-refining goons stepped into the cavern, I blasted them both with the force of my toad technique. They went flying backward and wrapped right around the trees. If it spilled out, totally wiped out. The system rewarded me with 200 EXP, plus 10 berserk energy apiece. Their senior brother burst in right after, way more powerful, unloading a blood energy palm strike right at me. Too bad for him, I was already dropped low in toad stance. He stared downwards, totally clueless. All he could spot was what looked like a massive toad. Before he could even process it, I lunged straight into his midsection and activated strangle. He took a brutal spill, barely managing to keep his feet. He demanded to know my name, but I wasn't that clueless to hand over my actual identity. I claimed that my name was Zhuge Jinsheng, hailing from the Zhuge divine manor. one of the four major pillars holding up the realm. The dude's face went completely ghost white. He swore he'd remember that name, and then barked orders for his crew to pull back. What a sucker. Only a complete fool drops their real name when caught in a jam like that. As for why I specifically dug up Zhuge Jinshong from my memory bank, that trash was a piece of work anyway, so let him deal with the blowback. Now, the senior sister had promised that if I rescued them, she'd gladly offer her hand to me in marriage. Yet, by the time I spun back around to check her on that, she had already passed out cold. The following morning, the three girls came to one after another inside the cavern. The youngest sibling couldn't recall a single thing. She'd fainted before they even crossed into the cave. The second sister had lugged her along the entire route. The eldest recalled me holding down the cave entrance just before losing consciousness and assumed I was trying to keep them safe. The youngest sister was totally bummed out. She completely missed the whole hero saves the babes moment. She eagerly asked if her sisters had pledged themselves as his brides for the champion. The oldest sister poked fun at the second one over that exact thing, but the middle sister fired right back, claiming she'd overheard the oldest saying the very same stuff. The youngest pouted, muttering that if the guy turned out hot, she'd throw herself at him too. Imagine all three sisters marrying the same dude. The other two immediately shut her up with a death stare. Meanwhile, I was outside barbecuing some meat. Little White was hanging by my side, snatching food straight off the grill, as usual. Just as the youngest stepped out of the cave and caught sight of Little White, she completely lost it. "One adorable little pup," she cried, scooping him up. That's when the other two followed her out. I finally got a proper look at all three of them. Under the daylight, the youngest was clearly the cute type, maybe 15 or 16 years old. The second sister was a fresh, radiant young beauty, while the oldest had a mature, Gasfudoha. Honestly, every single one of them was more stunning than any top celebrity back in my old world. My mind instantly flashed back to their conversation from the previous night, specifically about marrying whoever came to their rescue. Try my best to act nonchalant. I put on a stern, solemn expression and muttered, "So you're awake." The youngest sister checked me out completely unbothered, declaring, "He's pretty basic looking." She then told her siblings that when it comes to marriage, you just have to settle. Once the lights go out, it's all the same anyway. The oldest sister gave her arm a sharp pinch before graciously offering her gratitude for my help. Without thinking, I blurted, "Why thank me for rescuing my own future wives, right?" Then I caught my slip and instantly pivoted to a heroic speech. Defending young ladies in distress is simply the duty of a noble, righteous warrior. I was just ready to mention their vows of marriage, but all three of them completely tuned me out. Instead, they crowded around Little White, snuggling up and hugging him tightly, gushing over how incredibly cute he was. They kept passing him around, and that tiny backstabber was just cuddling right into their chests, looking absolutely thrilled about it. What a total little creep. I felt like shouting, "Drop the wolf, and come give me a hug instead." But nobody paid attention. Every single time I spoke up, they blew me off even harder. Literally every piece of meat I barbecued, Little White swiped it straight off the grill and served it to the ladies. Just to show off, he let me cook over a dozen steaks, and I didn't even get a single bite. I was absolutely famished and miserable. I couldn't help but grumble under my breath. Man, I wish I were a wolf. Dogs have it better than me. Actually, wolves have it better. But regardless of my hunger, I kept on cooking, because after 12 stolen portions, my stomach was seriously empty. Finally, I got a chance to eat, but only after stuffing 3 women and 1 wolf, until they were totally bloated. By that time, it was nearly midday. The youngest sister then insisted that I guide them back to town. I reminded them that the blood-refining sect was finished, so they could easily make their own way back. However, the oldest sister explained that some leftover toxin was still in their bodies, meaning they couldn't fully access their cultivation skills yet. To top it off, Little White tugged on my trousers and gave me this pathetic, pleading look. What a sellout. I raised him for 6 months, and he immediately sides with the pretty girls. I was right on the verge of saying no when the system pinged. Escort mission activated. Reward tier, B rank. 10,000 EXP, 1,000 true energy, plus a weapon. Fine, whatever. I needed to head back to town anyway. The 2-week trek back was just more of the same old stuff. Those 3 sisters wouldn't stop playing with Little White, and pretty much acted like I didn't even exist. Turns out they're disciples from the Heavenly Sect, which is basically a top-tier academy, way more powerful than this entire kingdom. They came here to gear up for next spring's recruitment. The moment we hit the West Gate, the mission wrapped up and I raked in my rewards. I dipped immediately without wasting any time. Guys, Yahello. Take care. I'm not walking you guys any further. I was dying to track down Chow Chow. The three girls were totally floored that I wanted to split so fast. The oldest sister handed me a Heavenly Sect token, a super rare, exclusive pass that lets you bypass the public trials completely and go straight to their final selection exam. I snatched it off her quick thanks, grabbed Little White, and took off without a second glance. They just stood there completely speechless. The youngest sister called me a clueless hillbilly, while the middle sister muttered that my name sounded familiar. I couldn't care less. What they didn't realize was that the blood refining sect had already infiltrated the city, actively hunting for Zhuge Jinxiang, the fake alias I'd fed them. First, I made a reservation at the Hibiscus restaurant, which happens to be Chow Chow's absolute favorite spot. They serve these specific buns she goes crazy for. Plus, I was absolutely starving. After surviving 6 straight months on nothing but barbecued meat, I ordered a massive, full table of food. But before I could even grab a single bite, someone rudely burst right into my private dining room. It was Long Ao, the very cousin who knocked me cold before I left town. That grand elder's firstborn son. He just sneered and called me a loser, mocking, "Look who finally crept back after lying low for 6 months." I told him to beat it, before I literally dragged him out myself. His thug barked at me right then and there, trying to label me as garbage again. He couldn't even finish his sentence. I struck so quickly, it was a total blur, and I smacked him right across the face. He hit the deck hard, a glaring handprint, puffing up on his cheek, before his 2 guards lunged at me. I flattened both of them the exact same way. Not a single one could stay up for long. AO had advanced to a level 8 warrior. During the half year I was away, he thought his progress was fast, but he couldn't even track my hand movement. The divide between us was massive now. He attempted to sneak away on all 4s, but I pinned his head down and demanded he cover my tap first. Only then could he scramble out. He was boiling with rage, but too terrified to utter a word. He paid up and crept off, silently plotting his retaliation. I grabbed Chow's favorite steam buns, and made my way to the slums. The moment I stepped into the small courtyard, my stomach dropped. The place was abandoned for months. It was completely empty. An elderly neighbor lady hesitantly informed me that a band of thugs had dragged Xiao Xiao off. Months ago, it was Long Dayu. He kidnapped her because I executed his nephew. Pure fury erupted inside of me. Someone dared to harm the only person I truly cherished in this entire world. That was my absolute limit. The one line you never, ever cross. I charged straight into the Divine Dragon Manor, bellowing for Long Dayu to face me. He'd snatched Xiao Xiao, and I was dead set on getting her back. The gatekeepers knew exactly who I was, instantly trash-talking me as a loser. I knocked the first guy cold with a single slap. Supposedly, he was a second-rank battle master, yet he dropped like a sack of bricks. I made it clear, my name isn't something low-life servants get to throw around. As I stormed through the estate, anyone who dared call me garbage got leveled. Clan disciples, hired help, it didn't matter. One by one, they bit the dust. That's when the residence's elite guard intercepted me. 2 rows of heavily armored soldiers, wielding dragon steel spears, all aimed at my chest. Leading them was Long Xian, a 4th-rank battle master, and one of the top young powerhouses in the guard. He arrogantly addressed me by my bare name. I checked him, reminding him that I am the young patriarch of this clan, officially designated by the Grand Elder himself. In the ancestral hall, disrespecting my title was a direct violation of our family's own laws. He scoffed, claiming I wasn't worthy of it. So, I decided to show him exactly what worthy looks like. Leaping into the air, I squared up and dropped into the toad stance. Before Long Xian could even finish his jeering, I slammed right into his gut like a cannonball. He went flying dozens of meters, smashing hard into a wall, fracturing the stone like a spiderweb. Then, I activated Strangle. His internal organs wrenched violently. He shrieked, turning pale as a ghost, completely drenched in sweat before passing out from the agony. Mind you, I'd only used 30% of my strength. Full power would have totally pulverized him. The remaining 16 guards just stood there, paralyzed. As those spears kept aimed right at me, I gave him one shot, reminding them they were mere servants, pointing weapons directly at their own master. A capital offense under our family's laws. They could either back off or die. Glancing over at Long Shan, knocked out cold on the floor, one guard finally lowered his blade and stepped aside. The others followed suit, clearing a path for me. Walking past, I caught them whispering behind my back. They literally couldn't recognize me anymore. The sheer pressure, the absolute power radiating off me, it was light years ahead of the old Long Fei. Not even close to his genius days. One guy even corrected his buddy. Drop the Long Fei crap. address him as young master. Perfect. Exactly how it ought to be. I'd endured a whole year of being treated like total trash. But now I'm back, and my ground rules are simple. Anyone who fails to submit gets a beating. And if they still refuse to fall in line, they get ended. I was reclaiming what belonged to me. Meanwhile, Long A.O., that cousin I just backhanded at the restaurant, fled, whining to his old man, Long John Woo. He begged the Grand Elder to finish me off, claiming I was a total disgrace to the lineage, and a massive threat to his father's bid to take over as the next clan leader. Just then, a servant burst in, frantically reporting that I was tearing the manor apart, and nobody could lay a finger on me. Long A.O. shrieked that I was dead meat, while Long John Woo's face contorted with pure rage, branding me a lawless thug. They demanded to know my heading. The servant gasped out. He's making a beeline for Long Dayu's courtyard. Locating Long Dayu's place, I forcefully kicked the front gate right off its hinges. His henchmen came swarming out wielding clubs, and one of them recognized me, bursting into laughter. Those bastards spent 6 months hunting for me, and I just strolled right into their trap. That pretty much sealed it. They definitely kidnapped Chow Chow. I took them all out one punch at a time. Every single one of those low-life servants had looked down on me and joined in on my manhunt. Within minutes, 6 bodies hit the deck. Blood splattered everywhere, and the system dinged after every kill, raking in experience, raw energy reserves, and silver. The pathetic little manager fell straight to his knees, begging me for mercy. He spilled that Long Day-O was over at the back mountain, in some cave where the clan locks up its captives, and beats people, he claimed. Long Day-O had been brutalizing Chow Chow, just to squeeze my location out of her. He said she was at her breaking point. My hands squeezed so tight that my knuckles popped. I booted that manager straight across the courtyard. Like a soccer ball, he crashed right into the main hall, slammed into a chair, and died instantly as every bone in his body shattered. I bolted toward the back mountain. Meanwhile, Long John Woo and his squad showed up at the courtyard and witnessed the absolute bloodbath. He ordered the clan's enforcement division and the estate guards to hunt me down at the back mountain. Long Day-O smirked, totally convinced I was history. Long John Woo muttered to himself that I brought this on myself, insisting a cripple lacking dragon blood had zero right to head the clan and would only disgrace their name. Like I gave a damn about any of that. I made it to the cave and silently dropped the 2 guards stationed at the entrance. Venturing deep inside to the lowest dungeon, I finally found her. Chow Chow was bound to a torture frame, drenched in blood with her hair all messy and matted, hanging on by a thread. Her knuckles were blackened and shattered. They had used vices on her. She trembled violently, too depleted to even cry out. Long Day-O loomed over her body. He had been grilling her for nearly 6 months, employing every torture instrument in that cavern. Yet, she hadn't uttered a single syllable about my whereabouts. Not a peep. He couldn't wrap his head around why a mere maidservant would shield a piece of trash like me so fiercely. His patience had finally run out. He was just about to execute her with a burst of dark energy when I burst in, striking him with a surprise toad technique from behind. But Long Day-O was an 8th rank battlemaster, wielding might that rivaled a peak 9th rank, far more formidable than anyone I had previously fought. Deflecting my strike, he leaped back several paces and glared at me with a chilling grin. Long Fei, you've walked right into my trap. Long Day-O lunged at me with everything he had, unleashing his full 8th rank battle master power. Dropping into my toad stance, I pushed my strength to its absolute limit and charged at him like a flash of lightning. He attempted to parry with a double palm strike, but I shattered his guard and rammed straight into his midsection. Then, I activated Strangle. The vortex of force bored deep into his flesh, making him spit up dark blood. But right then, he bared his true colors. Sinister, demonic energy began surging from his body. He wasn't just some dishonest manager. He was an infiltrator from a demonic sect, embedded deep within the Long clan. That cleared up why he had been tracking me and trying to hunt me down. I didn't completely grasp his motives just yet, but it didn't really matter. Knowing he was a foe of the family made this a whole lot simpler. Chow Chow, hanging by a thread on the rack, begged me to bolt, calling him a total psycho. But I wasn't backing down. Unsheathing my reclamation blade, I unleashed the dragon-slaying blade technique. 7 blows, one right after another. Skin splitting, tendons severing, bones cracking, blood slashing, spirits opening, souls shocking, and death breaking. Every single strike stacked the weapon's energy. His dark, demonic shield shattered by the 3rd hit. The remaining 4 completely cornered him, leaving him covered in gashes and utterly wrecked. Just then, Long John Woo's voice echoed outside. demanding that I show myself. Long Ao was gloating and screaming for me to come out and face my death. Hearing his backup, Long Dao started laughing, hollering for the Grand Elder to bail him out. Then he smirked and taunted me, saying Long John Wu would only catch me assaulting the family's head steward. They'd never know he was actually a demonic mole, and would use the executioner's block to finish me off. He claimed my momentum was totally spent, leaving me no time for another strike. Before they breached the cave, the guy thought he had it all mapped out, clueless about who he was messing with now. My arm vibrated, the blade resonated, the air rippled, and the entire cavern began to shudder. Those 7 layers of built-up energy merged into one massive, dragon-slaying frenzy. A crescent shockwave of condensed power burst outward, not as a single strike, but over 100, tearing through like a gale-force storm, shredding him like autumn leaves. The very first blow ended Long Dao on the spot, and the rest just kept tearing in. Once that relentless barrage finally cleared, there wasn't even a shred of flesh left behind. His whole body had been totally pulverized into dust. Letting out a breath, I smirked. Unkillable, huh? Not strong enough? How's that feeling for you now? Right then, I booted up the system. Hand over the loot. The system rolled out my rewards for taking down Long Dao. EXP, True Energy Reserve Points. 1,000 silver pieces, a dark cultivation manual, and a token from the Blood Sea Demon sect. Honestly, the drops felt pretty mid at first. Worse than what I'd scavenged off Toad. But out of nowhere, 2 new systems kicked in. First up was the Demon Cultivation System. It allows me to swap between my ordinary form and a Demon Cultivator vessel. Once a day, costing 1,000 points per switch. Both forms share the exact same level. True energy and abilities, standing before righteous sects. I could play the hero purging evil. Yet, around the demon sects, I could be a dark lord hunting down hypocrites. Resources from both factions would be mine for the taking. I locked that in instantly. Then, secondly, the point system unlocked. Slaying sect, disciples, or rogue demon cultivators grants points. Clearing various quests grants points. Concocting high-tier elixirs, forging weapons, drawing arrays, or taming beasts grants points. Any unwanted gear can be traded in for points too. And if you hoard enough, you can buy practically anything. True dragon blood, legendary pills, mythical beasts, good tier technique, even celestial guardians. Browsing through the exchange shop almost drove me wild. Every single item looked absolutely broken. But then I peeked at the price tags and nearly passed out. Just that dragon blood alone was a whopping 8 million points. The price tags on everything had a crazy amount of zeros. Total ripoff. Just out of pure curiosity, I checked the value of my busted dragon slaying blade. Sitting at 80 million points, but if I fixed it up, it could easily be worth hundreds of millions. All of a sudden, I felt like the wealthiest guy on Earth, even though I couldn't actually blow any of it. Then a harsh dose of reality hit me from outside the cave. Long John was out there, barking for me to get out, pushing my hype to the side. I very carefully unhooked Chow. Chow from that brutal torture rack. She was completely covered in gashes, clinging to life, and my fury toward Long Dao flared up all over again. I seriously wished I could drag his soul back from hell, just to slaughter him another 10,000 times. Cradling her softly, I whispered that I was taking her home. She snuggled into my chest, soaking in my warmth with a faint smile. She drifted off to sleep, looking incredibly peaceful and content, her cheeks flushed with a rosy tint. Gazing down at her, I made a silent vow that someone as pure and beautiful as her deserve a life filled with constant joy, not misery. Carrying her over, I halted right at the cavern entrance, looking down coldly at the mob gathered below. Long Zhanwu, the Grand Elder, Long Ao, and the Enforcement Hall disciples, every single one of them. Long Zhanwu was giving off the overwhelming aura of a battle king, on a totally different level than anyone I'd ever fought. The crushing pressure was heavy, but I just smirked and called out, "No need to come drag me out. Your young master is walking out on his own 2 feet." Long Zhanwu didn't bother wasting his breath. His gaze turned ice cold as he barked an order. "Capture him." Instantly, the guards closed in around me. Yet, I stood totally unfazed, holding Chow Chow tight in my arms. Locking eyes with Long Zhanwu, I gave it to him straight. "You're merely an elder, while I am the true young master here. That soon-to-be divine dragon Marquis. He lacks the legal right to lock me up." He listed my offenses: assaulting the guards, slaying the servants, and finishing off Long Dayu. So, I countered him with 3 questions of my own. What is the penalty for disrespecting the young master? What is the penalty for guards who turn on their own lord? And what is the penalty for a servant abducting and brutalizing the young master's personal maid. He couldn't manage a single answer. The entire place went dead silent. Long Jingyi, the enforcement hall rep, stared at me in total shock. I could tell exactly what he thought, that this was the true aura a rightful heir should possess. Long Zhanwu tried taking one last shot. He claimed that, even as young master, I had zero authority to execute a member of the Long clan. Only the enforcement hall held that power. I just smirked and asked, "Did you actually see me kill him?" "No?" "Then shut your mouth." He was absolutely livid but utterly cornered. He wanted me dead, but he desperately needed the clan's backing to become the next patriarch. Offing me, without a valid reason, would completely ruin his standing. Long Aoyu brushed past me heading toward the cavern, and muttered that the moment they uncovered Long Daiyu's corpse, I'd be a dead man. So I slapped him right across the face, straight in front of his own father. He hit the dirt, howling in pain. They ransacked the cave for a solid half hour. Nothing. No corpse, no evidence at all. The dragon-slaying rampage had literally reduced Long Daiyu to absolute dust. I smiled at Long Zhanwu and said, "Framing the young master is a pretty massive crime, you know? I'll let it slide this time, since you're my elder. Just don't mess up like this again." Then I strolled away, cradling Xiao Xiao in my arms, without glancing back even once. The moment I made it safely down the peak, and felt certain they weren't tailing me, I let out a massive sigh, my back completely drenched in cold sweat. Long Zhanwu's battle, King Aura, had been totally overwhelming. That face-off was way more precise and dangerous than I let on. Right after I left Long Zhanwu, he and Long Zhanyu headed back inside the cave themselves. That's when they spotted the slash marks. A single, razor-thin fissure in the stone wall, where the entire force of the blade energy had been hyper-focused into a single point. They were completely floored. Long Zhanyu conceded that I'd gotten way stronger, but Long Zhanwu fixated on one crucial detail. I still lacked the dragon blood aura. Without that, no matter how powerful I became, the clan would always view me as a useless cripple. To them, possessing a divine dragon mark, yet lacking the actual dragon blood, would just turn the whole family into a total laughingstock. He kicked himself for not finishing me off a year ago, back when it would have been a piece of cake. Long Zhanyu volunteered to do the deed right now. A swift slit to the throat, but Long Zhanwu shut him down. He wanted to take me out with a legitimate excuse, something the clan would fully back up. Then he commanded that all talk of my sudden spike in power be kept completely under wraps. Oddly enough, the drama that went down at the estate yesterday didn't leak out at all. The only real difference was that a few servants and guards now actively steered clear of me whenever I walked by. Chow Chow was in pretty bad shape, so I paid a visit to the clan's medical pavilion to fetch a premium tier healing elixir. But the overseer there informed me that Long Zhanwu had completely cut off my allocation rights. I couldn't even get my hands on a single pill, not even a single silver coin from the clan. I cursed Long Zhanwu under my breath, but didn't push my luck. The guy's a battle king, and until I hit that level, I'm not starting that fight. I hit up a shop in the city instead. A top-tier healing pill was 1,300 silver pieces. I only had around 1,200, so I was short. The clerk gave me a smug look and told me to look at cheaper options. That really rubbed me the wrong way. So I slammed my cash on the counter and snapped, "I'm not buying finished pills. I want raw herbs. Every single ingredient to brew a healing pill myself." He and the whole shop burst out laughing at me. Alchemy is basically impossible for regular people to pull off. You need a natural fire affinity just to get started, followed by years of grinding, and tons of pricey ingredients to practice on. Even the prestigious Long family, one of the kingdom's 4 main powerhouses, only managed to produce a single mid-tier alchemist. The notion of some random nobody purchasing cheap plants and whipping up his own medicine struck them as a total joke. I told them to mind their own business, grabbed my 30 sets of ingredients, picked up a cheap cauldron from a street vendor, and made my way home. Chow Chow walked out of her room looking pale and exhausted. I told her I was going to cook up a healing pill just for her. She was taken aback, but instantly said she trusted me. That's my girl. I set up the gear in the courtyard, triggered my alchemy skill, and the cauldron straight up blew up. My face was completely covered in dark soot. I looked like I just crawled out of coal mine. Chow Chow felt bad for me, but she couldn't help giggling. The system alert read, "Alchemy failed. Proficiency level 1. I swore to her it was just beginner's luck, a total one-off. Since the original cauldron was history, I headed straight to the kitchen, yanked out the massive iron cooking pot, and hauled it outside. I figured, there's no way a heavy iron pot like this blows up on me. Take 2. No explosion this time around, but the pot let out this massive, wet fart sound instead. Then the most foul, disgusting stench I've ever smelled came pouring out. I caught one whiff of it, and instantly ralphed up. My entire breakfast from that morning. I yelled at Chow, Chow, to plug her nose. But she'd been laughing so hard at my misery that she accidentally inhaled a massive lungful. Her face went totally purple as she choked out. Did you just make a chemical weapon? After tanking 5 failures in a row, I seriously wanted the ground to swallow me up, but quitting wasn't an option. I pulled up the system menu to check my alchemy skill. Yellow Tier 1, with a proficiency of 9 out of 100. Right then it hit me. I didn't actually need to succeed. I just needed the XP. Even a botched attempt still granted me 1 point. Once that proficiency bar maxed out, the skill level would bump up, and a higher level meant a much better success rate. So I pivoted my strategy. Instead of burning through full sets of ingredients, I tossed in only a single herb per run, cut down the waste, maximized the grind. I started grinding like a lunatic. Fail, fail, fail. Just doing it over and over all day, skipping meals. That iron pot was completely ruined for cooking meals anyway, considering I'd repurposed it as my makeshift cauldron. Meanwhile, Long Zhongmu had his informants tracking me. They fed him reports on everything, starting with the blown-up cauldron. That toxic gas, the constant screw-ups. He completely mocked me, calling me a total lost cause. Both he and Long Zhanya were already plotting my murder at the upcoming family trial in a month. Word was, the interim clan chief, Long John Hai, would end his isolation in 6 weeks. So Long John Wu needed me gone before that, leaving him free to grab absolute control over the clan. Honestly, none of that mattered to me right then. I just kept grinding all through the night. By late evening, my alchemy reached level 1. Still wasn't satisfied, so I pushed on. By daybreak, it finally hit level 2. A whole day and night of nonstop. Failures had taught me everything about these plants. Their traits, which ones were yin or yang, the proper order to toss them in, and the perfect ratios. I had exactly 5 batches left. Time to do this properly. I fired up the cauldron, dropped the ingredients in the correct order, managed the flames, and finally nailed it on the first try. And not just a basic success, the system notified me that I'd made an extreme grade recovery pill. The absolute top tier quality. It granted me 100 experience points, 100 true energy, and 20 stats. I turned around to share the awesome news with Chow Chow, but she had drifted off, slumping against the doorframe. She'd been waiting up for me all night. I smiled and muttered, I actually did it. Then a major realization hit me. Sure, pills could top up my true energy, but my Dantian remained completely ruined, which meant I couldn't draw in worldly energy on my own anymore. Once my current reserve ran dry, I'd be totally defenseless without those pills. Alchemy wasn't just some hobby for me. It was keeping me alive. I used up the last 4 herb batches and hit the mark every time, 2 of them extreme grade, making a grand total of 3 premium recovery medicine balls. I kept back a single supreme tier pill just for Chow Chow before hitting the streets. I had a certain clerk's smug face to slap with some medicine. Waking up early, I made a beeline for the exact storefront where that worker had trash-talked me the day before. The very second he unlocked the entrance, I chucked a pellet straight at his mug. He reeled backward and hit the floor, shouting about who had the nerve to mess around at the Fenyuan Trading Alliance, which turns out to be one of the 10 largest commercial cartels across the land. Stepping inside, I ordered him to pick the pill up and inspect it closely before barking his mouth off. He checked it over, and his jaw instantly dropped. It was an elite rank restorative pill, trying to save some face. He claimed I must have bought it from somewhere else. Yet he was fully aware that anyone capable of producing a top-tier healing pellet is a true alchemist, and nobody with an ounce of sense disrespects a master crafter. Just then, a senior fellow named Elder Liu emerged from the back quarters, boasting a piercing gaze and a commanding presence. Unmistakably an elite practitioner and a fellow alchemist. Taking hold of the medicine, he inspected it, and his expression warped immediately. He noted that the coloration, texture, original energy concentration, and therapeutic value were sitting right at the absolute peak of high-grade quality. I snapped at him to cut the questions about whether I forged it, and to give me an offer. He quoted 3,000 silver pieces. That amount was easily double what is standard. First-rate medicine ball usually fetches. So I pulled out my supreme grade pill and passed it over. His hands literally began to shake. He muttered that its purity was flawless, the most pristine specimen he had ever laid eyes on. Grabbing me by the wrists, he practically begged to learn my secret. Backing off, I explicitly informed him that I wasn't dumb enough to spill my secrets. He darted to the back office to get some input, ordering his clerk to fetch me their finest brew, spirit liquid tea. The helper damn near choked. Word is this stuff runs 30,000 silver a pound. and provides a major cultivation boost. I had absolutely no clue about that. I was just parched after pulling an all-nighter. I slammed the entire cup back in one go. The system pinged, true energy plus 10. My eyes instantly widened. I told the kid to bring me a whole kettle, adding that whatever I couldn't finish, I'd just pack up for the road. The poor guy looked ready to drop dead right there. He kept grumbling under his breath about what kind of hick chugs premium spirit tea, like regular water, and asked for a doggy bag. Kicking my legs up, I whistled a tune and chillaxed. Just yesterday, this dude was mocking me. Now, he was bowing and scraping before me, with the most plastic smile I'd ever seen. Wild how a single pill flips the script completely. Polishing off the full pot of spirit liquid tea, my reservoir of true energy topped off entirely. I asked the clerk if there happened to be seconds. His face turned pale as he shook his head in panic, insisting they were totally wiped out. When I lamented not getting any to go, he clutched his gut, whining that his liver ached. Elder Lou emerged with a massive grin. Their guild leader was thrilled with my top-tier extreme grade pill, putting an offer of 5,000 silver on the table. Right then, the helper whispered to him that I had drained all of his precious stash. The old-timer's expression twisted in pure agony. I checked what was wrong. He claimed his liver hurt too. Man, everyone around here seems to have liver issues. He attempted to scout me as a master alchemist. On behalf of the Fanyu Yuan Trading Alliance, I basically told him, no thanks, since alchemy is just a side hobby for me. That totally broke the guy. He had dedicated his whole life to professional alchemy, without ever brewing a single extreme grade pill. Yet here I was, treating it like a casual pastime. When he kept pressuring me, I mentioned I was starving and needed to grab some breakfast for Chow Chow. In the end, he proposed a compromise. They get exclusive first dibs on buying my pills, while I get a 20% discount store-wide, plus 50% off on herbs, which suited me perfectly. I still had to grind my weapon crafting level, array engraving, and several other disciplines that constantly demand pricey raw materials. He then presented me with a purple gold card. Word has it that only 500 of these have been given out throughout the Alliance's 5,000-year history. He also threw in a gold card preloaded with 10,000 silver. I just stashed both away without giving them a thought, and bolted out because my stomach was growling. They just stood there completely stunned. The clerk was scratching his head, unable to fathom why I didn't even spare a glance at the purple gold card. Elder Lou assumed I must be some incredibly high-tier elite, to whom even their ultimate status card meant absolutely nothing. The reality of it was way simpler, though. I had zero clue what it actually was, and I was just really hungry. Meanwhile, up on the second floor, a veiled young lady tracked my departure. She had authorized the card as a gamble on my potential, reasoning that anyone capable of whipping up extreme-grade pills in less than 24 hours would eventually monopolize the medicinal market of the whole kingdom. Back at the house, Chow Chow was anxiously eyeing the recuperation pill I had left behind, terrified it might turn out to be another stink bomb. But man, it worked like a charm, curing her cuts and mending her internal trauma with insane speed. She was absolutely stoked. That's when Long John Wu burst in. Chow Chow went ghost white as he demanded my whereabouts. She claimed total ignorance, but he kept pressing her. She sank to her knees in tears, pleading with him not to touch me. She even offered to do whatever it took if he'd just back off. He just smirked and called us both pathetic. Right then, I came sprinting into the courtyard, clutching a sack of Chow Chow's favorite buns, shouting out for her happily. But suddenly, I spotted Long Zongmu standing there. My entire body went rigid. I coldly demanded to know what he wanted. He scoffed that no corner of the Long estate was off-limits to him. I froze right in my tracks, completely on guard. The guy was a literal battle king. In that moment, staring him down felt like facing an apex predator. To be honest, I really didn't want to cross paths with Long John Wu yet. At least not until I'd hit the battle king tier myself. Yet there he was, trespassing in my space, while Chow Chow was on the ground on her knees. I dashed over, pulled her up, and blocked her from his view. He eyed the leftover herb scraps littered around the place, mocking my attempts at playing alchemist. I shot back that my business was none of his concern. Then he laid out his real agenda. Exactly 1 month from today comes the family trials. If I screw up, I'm officially kicked out of the Long clan. Now, as the recognized young master, I technically held the right to opt out, but he just laughed it off. He pointed out that such perks belonged to the old version of me, the one blessed with dragon god blood. The current me, with a shattered dantian and clogged meridians, the absolute joke of the entire city, enjoyed no such luxury. Next, he stared past me straight at Xiao Xiao and muttered frostily, "I'm not Long Deo. My playbook is 10,000 times more ruthless than his." Gritting my teeth, I realized how much I despise threats. Still, I just told him fine. I'm in, but I threw back a warning. People who try to strong-arm me don't usually last long. He unleashed his Battle King aura for a mere split second. The sheer pressure nearly broke me before he reined it back in, flashed a smirk, and walked away. The instant he left, my knees buckled and I collapsed straight onto the floor. That crushing force was completely overwhelming, but I vowed right then to pay him back down the line. Chow Chow filled me in. This trial is tailor-made for top-tier disciples, who are over 20, since I'm barely 16, and all the rivals are at least 5th-rank battle masters. Packing intense dragon blood energy, it was clear. Long Zhongwu wasn't just giving me a hard time. He wanted me dead. Yet, even without his intimidation, I would have gone for the top spot anyway. The perks are just too insane. Plus, the system would throw in extra bonus points. I had exactly 1 month to power up as much as possible. Heading back to the mountains wasn't an option. Time was too tight. I had to find other paths to scale up. Upgraded weaponry, mystical talismans, battle puppets, anything to give my combat stats a massive lift. I kicked things off with talisman crafting. Gathering some cinnabar and specialized paper, I channeled my inner origin energy, triggered the ability, and absolute trash. Whatever I drew looked like a toddler's random chicken scratch. The system prompt popped up. Talisman creation failed. Proficiency +1. Yep, the usual drill. 0 natural talent, purely a hard grind. So began the lengthy, exhausting routine of failing my way to the top. Each single shot totally sapped my mental stamina. Forging talismans demands nothing less than flawless concentration. Lose focus for just a second, and it's ruined instantly. An hour in, I was drenched in sweat and completely fried. 3 hours down, I kept pushing. 5 hours, still going strong. 10 hours, still messing up, but creeping closer with every attempt. I could practically finish a whole talisman, failing only on the final few strokes. Fighting through the sheer fatigue, I kept telling myself, Long Zhongwu, you want me dead? Let's see who bites the dust first. Meanwhile, his informants were feeding him updates. He was absolutely cracking up. Flopped at alchemy, now flopping at talismans. What's next? Weapon forging. He figured I was just the same old, hopeless loser. He was already plotting to handle me. During the trials, before moving to hijack control of the clan. From the interim leader, Long Zhanhai. Let him mock me. He had no clue what was coming. I practiced talisman making for a whole day and night. Without a break, completely draining my true energy. My focus was totally spent, and my body was on the brink of breaking down. Even so, I didn't give up, and by daybreak, the proficiency finally reached level 2. I was so wiped out I could barely keep my balance. It felt worse than any week-long gaming binge from my past life. Yet, there was 0 time to chill. With only a month, I can't afford to squander a single day. I dragged my feet to the Feng Yuan shop, scouting for some more spirit fluid tea. The clerk's expression soured the moment he spotted me. He swore up and down that they were fresh out. I called the place a letdown and walked out. Elder Lu appeared and asked if I'd brewed more pills. I told him no. Then I inquired if they carried fresh monster beast blood. They'd just gotten a fresh batch of Tier 5 saber-toothed tiger blood earlier that morning. The price tag? 80 grand in silver, even with my discount. I nearly choked, since I was nowhere near having that kind of cash. Elder Lu just chuckled and let me take it on credit. I was so incredibly grateful I almost teared up. Then, being my usual self, I went ahead and asked for 1,000 sets of healing pill herbs. On top of everything else, that actually made him cough. I promised him I'd square up sooner or later. He decided and had the whole lot boxed up. I grabbed the goods and booked it out of there, before anyone could second-guess the deal. Once I got back home, I immediately whipped up a few top-tier healing pills and downed them all to completely restore my true energy. After taking a quick breather, I got cracking on the real priority. See, standard cinnabar ink only yields subpar talismans, because I can't channel enough true energy into them at my current rank. But Demon Beast Blood is absolutely bursting with raw power. The perfect alternative. I coated my brush in the tiger blood, focused my inner energy, and unleashed my level 2 talisman technique. Nailed it on the very first serious shot. An ultimate grade phantom saber-toothed tiger talisman. When deployed, it summons a Tier 5 beast, capable of shredding combatants. At the battle spirit stage, that's way above my own level. Produce. Since I'd absorbed those elemental beast cores. A while back, my talismans gained extra perks in wind, water, and illusion attributes. I spent the rest of the day forging them. By the time I finished, I'd burned through all the tiger blood and turned out 18 talismans total, 10 of ultimate grade and 8 standard ones. Every single one was a weapon capable of taking down rivals. Way tougher than me, but I wasn't throwing in the towel. I still held on to that tier 9 flood. Dragon blood from up in the peaks. That essence was miles ahead of what the tiger offered. I needed to fine-tune my method first, before messing with talismans. Of that caliber, though, the gap in strength was just insane. I was staring down at my pile of charms, mulling over how to test out their punch, when some voices drifted in from the courtyard. "Hey there, gorgeous. Come hang with me." Someone was hitting on Chow Chow. Seeing red, I snatched up my wards and bolted outside. Chow Chow had stepped out to grab me a bite, since I've been fasting the whole day. Right as she made it back to our gate, this punk named Long Chung cut her off, ogling her and trying to force her to hook up. Long AO was lingering right there, too. He brought Long Chung along just to get back at me. Long Chung was a rank 8 battlemaster, backed by a dragon blood aura. So Long AO figured that'd be plenty to wipe me out. Chow Chow stood up for me, claiming I could take any of them down. They just scoffed and Long Chung barked, even if he weren't a total invalid. Thrashing him would be like kicking a dog. I stepped out and dropped my trademark line. "Disrespecting the young master carries a penalty of death." Chow Chow clutched my sleeve, pleading with me to drop it. She was terrified because Long Chung was the real deal, but I wasn't sweating it one bit. Honestly, I was pretty stoked. I finally found the ultimate guinea pig for my talismans. Whipping out a saber-toothed tiger seal, I flooded it with my true chi and hurled it forward. The parchment burst apart midair, when a huge tiger suddenly appeared, pouncing directly at Long Chung. It pinned him down and shredded him. He couldn't even put up a fight. In under 10 seconds, he was totally finished, torn to pieces. The system granted me 1,000 EXP, 100 true energy, and 10 berserk points, along with a bonus blade technique. Long AO started yelling that I'd murdered a relative. In broad daylight, I dashed over and smacked him right to the ground, steal my foot on his head, and rubbed his face in the dirt. I warned him that my patience has its bounds, and if he messes with me again, he'll end up just like Long Chung. Then I kicked him aside. I spared his life, not because I didn't want him dead, but because his father, Long Jianwu, would stop at nothing to crush me. And that's a clash I can't win just yet. Long AO scrambled up and bolted, utterly terrified. I whipped out another talisman just to mess with him, and he nearly tripped over his own feet escaping. The outcome was obvious. An ultimate grade tiger talisman could effortlessly rip apart battle spirit level masters, while even a standard one could instantly drop a battle master. The only catch was that each talisman drained 300 true energy to set off, meaning I could only handle 3 before running on empty. Meanwhile, back at their place, Long Jianwu flew into a rage at the news. His informant figured I must have bought that talisman from the Fanyuan shop, since they'd watched me fail at making them all day long. Long Jianwu didn't care about the minor details. He commanded Long AO to stop messing with me and go focus entirely on his solo training. He was putting everything on the line for the family trials. That's when Long Jianwu brought up something intriguing. In 3 days' time, the Fanyuan Trading Alliance would be hosting a major auction. Among the loot was a Xiaoyu token, originating from the Xiaoyu Guild, the grandest syndicate of assassins across the land. Possessing that metal lets you contract them to take out anyone. They boast a flawless track record. Long Janya brought up the idea of draining the clan vaults to purchase it, aiming to deploy it against Long John Hai, the current substitute clan master. The very second his isolated training ended, Long Jianwu flashed a chilling, wicked grin. He could totally picture himself claiming the throne as the true patriarch of the Long family. I handed Chow Chow 3 saber-toothed tiger talismans and told her to hurl one right at the face of anyone giving her a hard time. With me heading out, she tried turning them down, claiming she only needed my personal protection, but I wouldn't take no for an answer. I also started figuring out a way to awaken a bloodline for her, enabling her to cultivate in this realm. Lacking power just turns you into a sitting duck, and I can't look after her 24/7. After wrapping up a solid meal, I brewed 10 top-tier recovery pills and made my way over to the shop. The clerk spotted me and immediately barked out, "We're fresh out of spirit liquid tea," before I could even get a word out. I let him know that wasn't my reason for stopping by, even though I totally intended to ask later. I presented Elder Lu with a standard tiger talisman. He inspected it closely, falling silent for a good while, before asking if I was even a normal human. He just couldn't wrap his head around someone being an alchemist and a talisman master at the same time. He valued the standard talisman at 50,000 silver coins. That's when I pulled out a Supreme, Grade 1, fully infused with elemental traits. His hands began to shake. He claimed it could crush even battle spirit level elites, and valued it at 200,000 silver pieces. But when I whipped out 8 talismans in total, 3 top-tier ones infused with elements, plus 5 standard ones. He could barely catch his breath. Rather than purchasing them on the spot, he recommended putting them up for auction. According to him, in just 3 days, I could fetch away bigger payout there. The upcoming auction was a massive deal. All 4 prominent pillar families, the royalty, and even foreign factions were attending. The main draw was a particular Shah U token, issued by the continent's most lethal assassin guild. Owning one lets you order a hit on absolutely anyone. They have a flawless track record, having taken down even Battle Emperor level masters. I didn't give a damn about assassin politics, though. I was just after wealth and influence. Ahead of the family trials, Elder Liu took hold of my gold card and credited it with 1 million silver. I literally choked on my tea. Seeing that, he asked if it fell short, and instantly bumped it up to 2 million. I cut him off, saying it was plenty before he raised it again. And since it turned out they actually did have some spiritual liquid tea, even though the clerk had sworn they were fresh out, I demanded a pound wrapped up for me to take home. The poor clerk looked like he was about to burst into tears, strolling down the street. With 2 million silver sitting on my card, my head was spinning a bit. I had gone from a broke, useless nobody to this in just a matter of days. I just couldn't stop myself from laughing out loud like a total fool. Meanwhile, behind the scenes at the phone, "You trading alliance?" Elder Liu showed my charms and elixirs to his superior, some enigmatic young lady wearing a veil. She was totally blown away and told her crew to spread the word about this ultra-grade talisman throughout the city, just to build up massive hype before the bidding starts. She figured that by making me filthy rich, I'd stay dedicated to their alliance. Her actual game plan was using me to completely corner both the medicine and charm trades across the entire kingdom. Later that evening, after taking a quick breather, I reviewed my attributes. Level 6, Battle Master status, with 1,300 true energy. My Berserk energy was completely maxed out at 100. With all my abilities ready to go, I had 290 points banked. It was finally time for the real deal. I pulled out the level 9, Flood Dragon Blood, and began the crafting process. Each individual stroke pushed my stamina and focus straight to the edge. The dragon blood fiercely resisted with violent blowback. Nothing like that tiger blood from before. I was absolutely dripping sweat as my true energy tanked. Yet I fought through right to the very last stroke. Suddenly, a massive dragon's cry blasted into the heavens, right above the Long family estate. I hit the floor in a heap, utterly spent, yet firmly grasping the completed charm. When I pulled up its attributes, my jaw literally dropped. Item: Soaring Flood Dragon Talisman. Tier: 3rd rank. Quality: God tier. Cost to use: 1,500 true energy points. Perk: instantly wipes out any fighter ranked below a Battle King. That level 5 guy, Long Zhanwu, was a Battle King. This specific charm served as my ultimate safety net against him. There was just one catch. It required 1,500 true energy, and my max was stuck at 1,300. But hey, I was right on the verge of leveling up. The second I reached 7th rank Battlemaster, I'd have plenty. For the first time in ages, I got some solid sleep, though the rest of the town wasn't so lucky. That massive dragon roar had triggered absolute chaos. Word on the street was, a member of the Long clan had triggered the dragon god's lineage, signaling a new legendary fighter's rise. Every heavyweight in the capital totally freaked out. The 4 main powerhouse families, the imperial court, and the prince's estate. Not a single soul slept that night. They all sent out scouts to dig for info. Long Zhanwu was hit by massive panic. His personal security rushed over to spy on me, only to find me completely passed out and snoring. They figured there was no way it could be me. After all, my core was ruined and my dragon essence was totally wiped out. Long Zhanwu was sweating bullets, thinking it was some loyalist to the current interim chief, Long Zhanhai, that would absolutely wreck his master plan. Tucked away in the estate's inner sanctum, Long Zhanhai himself got shaken awake inside his private meditation vault, left wondering who exactly made the breakthrough. Even deeper down, inside the ultimate hidden chamber, the Grand Master, the clan's ancient forefather, snapped his eyes open and whispered through a dragon's cry. Looks like I'll have to end my isolation ahead of schedule. But what actually went down was way more basic than any of them guessed. That massive echo just came from my Flood Dragon amulet, not from some genetic awakening, but because nobody in the entire realm had laid eyes on a real dragon for ages. They couldn't even tell the difference. I was clueless about all this, just catching some serious ZS. 3 days later, the Fenyuan bidding war kicked off. Every single big shot in town packed the house. The 4 major factions, the ruling royal bloodline, and out-of-town VIPs, Everyone was hunting for the Xiaoyu token. The bidding went down at the Fenyuan Coalition's specialized stadium, which was roughly the size of a hoops court, featuring 10 VIP suites up front for the elite clans, plus 500 standard seats. Just the admission. Passes were fetching thousands in silver. Elder Lu took the stage and kicked things off with my healing pills. The crowd actually jeered at first. Like, who gives a damn about basic healing medicine? But then he explained that these were special. They double your recovery rate. And they also supply true energy to boost cultivation. He claimed they were crafted by a master alchemist. Total BS, but a pretty smart move. He then called up the chief alchemist from the Juka Divine Manor, one of the 4 great factions, to authenticate it. The old guy caught a whiff of a pill, felt its core energy, and then took a taste. His jaw kept dropping lower and lower as he mumbled about the flawless herb ratios. Flawless energy release, flawless everything. He cried out that it made no sense and instantly offered 500,000 silver pieces for the remaining 9 pills. A massive bidding war broke out. The royal family, the Lee Marshall Hall, even my own long clan. Everyone threw down. The final bid hit 1.3 million silver for those 9 pills. I literally died a little inside. I let Elder Lu have them for just 8,000 a pop, and here they were selling for over 140,000 each. Talk about getting ripped off. Next up was a storage ring, 100 square meters of capacity. Nobody really cared, so I snagged it for 150,000 silver. I seriously needed a place to keep all my gear. Then a 6th rank sword manual went for a cool 2 million. After that, something called the Phantom Wind. Shadow Steps came up, unclassified grade. Opening bid was a mere 10,000. Unclassified means the appraisers couldn't figure out its tier. So it's a total gamble, but I could scan it with my system. That method was a top-tier heaven grade technique. Something insanely rare and elite. It drained 10 points of true energy every second, but let the user drift like a ghost in a breeze. Totally untrackable. I dropped a bid for 1 million. The whole crowd spun around to gawk at me, treating me like a total moron for dropping that much cash on some mystery skill. Even Elder Lu was frantically gesturing for me to cut it out, but the gavel hit. I just snagged a heaven-grade technique for a literal fraction of its actual worth. Everyone present figured I was a sucker, but I was secretly laughing my head off. Up next was a mysterious map, pointing toward a spot called the Thunder Dragon Temple. It was another unverified item, and the Feng Yuan clan members had already tried tracking it down to no avail. Honestly, nobody could even confirm if the temple was real. I still had 850,000 silver pieces left over, and I figured it wasn't really my own cash anyway. So why not roll the dice? I threw down 500,000. The entire hall went completely dead quiet. Everyone glared at me like I belonged in an asylum. First, 1 million for a mystery ability, and now 500,000 for an unverified map. I just smirked, secured it again. Once the map was sold, Elder Lu cleared his throat and presented my crafted talismans. He divided the lot into 2 groups of 4. The initial batch consisted of the standard Saber Tote Tiger Talismans. He put one to the test right there, pumping in true energy to set it off. A massive beast materialized and let out a roar, flooding the entire hall with pure intimidation. The audience absolutely lost it. Offers kicked off at 300,000 and skyrocketed instantly. The Royal Nangong clan offered 5 million silver and locked it down. Next up was the second batch. My 4 extreme tier talismans, infused with elemental powers. Elder Lu declared they could totally one-shot battle spirit level experts, and they were all forged by a single master, the very same alchemist who brewed those recovery pills. The entire hall erupted into absolute chaos. Nobody could buy the fact that a single person could craft both pills, and talismans spanning 3 completely distinct elements. Chilling in the standard seating area, I listened to the crowd bicker over what kind of freak could pull this off, while secretly wondering how hard things would pop off if I put my soaring Flood Dragon talisman up on the auction block. The bidding went absolutely wild, skyrocketing from 1 million to 10 million silver pieces. In mere seconds before a voice rang out from VIP Box 2, the Heavenly Sect bids 20 spirit stones. Just 1 spirit stone is worth 1 million silver. The crowd collective gasped right before VIP Room 10 chimed in. The blood refining sect counters with 30 spirit stones. Everyone started losing it. 2 powerhouse sects crashing a mundane worldly auction was practically unheard of. The Heavenly Sect retaliated by bidding 50 spirit stones, forcing the blood refining sect to throw in the towel. My talisman fetched the equivalent of 50 million silver. I easily recognized those voices from room 2. They belonged to the three sisters I'd rescued back in the mountains. They had traveled here exclusively because of the talisman buzz. The oldest sibling was a talisman creator herself, currently stuck in a rut and eager to analyze my work. Those 50 stones represented years of their pooled wealth, leaving them totally ticked off at the blood-refining sect. For inflating the final price tag by 30 extra stones, the youngest sister brought up, leveraging their sex clout to pressure the foam. Yuan alliance into surrendering the talisman artisan. But the eldest immediately shut that idea down. True experts earn admiration, not threats. I quickly ran the numbers. 50 spirit stones equals 50 million silver. Back in my past life, that kind of cash would easily get me like a dozen gamer girls to carry me all day long. Looking over at their private suite, I grinned. Before, they completely blew me off. Now they're straight up bleeding cash for my gear. The arrival of both factions turned the room totally stiff, but it didn't kill the crowd's hype one bit. The whole room was pacing themselves for the grand finale. Elder Lu's voice shook as he brought out the ultimate prize, the Xiaoyu token. He iterated facts that everyone already knew. If you cash in this token, the Xiaoyu Guild will grant you one single request. Absolutely anything, no exceptions. No matter the target, they've got a flawless record. Their influence matches the greatest clans, and their network reaches every corner of the land. Every powerhouse present was locked, loaded, and ready to fight. The Nangong Imperial Clan, the Zhuge Divine Estate, the Li Commander Hall, and Longzhan Wu, they'd all drop serious coin for this. Let the bidding open. The race for the Xiaoyu token instantly went off the rails. Everyone threw down everything they had. The four powerhouses and the royals were shouting out offers and throwing mad shade at each other. 13 million, 18 million, 20 million, 40 million. The price just skyrocketed out of control. They were practically ripping each other to shreds. The Nangong Monarch threw down 150 million. As his final, ultimate max bid, the four pillars went dead silent. Suddenly, a lady's voice echoed out from VIP Suite 1. 200 million. The Emperor straight up coughed blood on the spot. Everyone's blood pressure collectively hit the roof. 200 million was way beyond what any of them could ever match. With no further counteroffers, the gavel came down. Everybody was dying to find out who was inside that room. Once it wrapped up, Elder Lu dropped by with a crate holding 50 spirit stones, along with 2 million in silver coins. That was my share from the charm and pill auctions. They waived the cut entirely, thanks to my purple gold membership. I got the real motive behind pushing my goods, though. It was all to hype up the Fenyuan Alliance's name. And honestly, that PR was worth way more than a handful of spirit stones. When I asked who scored VIP Lounge number 1, Elder Lu leaned in and whispered, "Our young lady." I was completely thrown. The Fenyuan Alliance had literally bought back their own item for a cool 200 million. But damn, it was a genius move. If any of those rival warring groups had actually snagged the Xiaoyu token, it would have sparked a total massacre across the city, which would absolutely wreck local business. Then Elder Lu hit me with some heavy news that struck deep. He broke down how, underneath the surface, this entire city is a ticking war zone. The remaining 3 powerhouses, alongside the royals, are all plotting to wipe out the Long clan. They were the masterminds behind that ambush, which completely drained the previous dragon, god warrior of his ancient lineage, left without a dragon god champion. The Long family is basically a toothless tiger right now. Their influence has been tanking hard all year long. That massive dragon Roar heard a few nights back managed to buy the clan a little breathing room, since everyone's terrified that a fresh air has just awakened. But the moment those other factions track that person down, they'll just take them out too. On top of that, the Longs failed to secure the Xiaoyu token, meaning they just lost an essential safety net of defense. I stood there frozen, letting the reality sink in. My own flesh and blood were teetering on total ruin, while Long Zhenwu, instead of pulling the family together, was wasting his time trying to hunt me down. Seriously, what boss acts like that? For a second, I was actually pissed for the family. But then I caught myself. They've treated me like absolute garbage. Why even bother? So I just blocked it out. My sole focus was leveling up for the trials. Meanwhile, at the Long estate, Long John Wu was losing his mind over the missing token. Luckily, Long Johnny had a backup plan ready. He had bypassed the middleman and hit up the Xiaoyu Guild. For a cool 50 million silver, they agreed to do the hit even without the token. Their mark? Long John Hai. The interim chief was to be taken out the second he ended his isolation, with both me and Long John. High out of the picture, Long John, who would easily claim the title of Divine Dragon Marquis. He also told his squad to keep scouting for that mysterious new dragon, God Warrior. If they tracked them down but couldn't get them to join, the directive was brutal: eliminate them. Over the next 2 weeks, I went into full seclusion and trained like a beast. By day, I tirelessly ground out alchemy and talismans. By night, I sharpened my combat forms. Basic blade arts, the toad style, the dragon-slaying strike, and that fresh phantom wind. Shadow movement I snagged at the bidding war. That specific footwork was a nightmare to crack. Each shift completely erratic and dripping with lethal intent. Totally worth the 1,000,000 coins I dropped on it. I blew through all 1,000 bundles I bought, brewing nonstop to push my alchemy up to level 4. I desperately needed that rank to unlock a blueprint called the True Spirit Pill, a consumable that instantly gives back 500 true energy, just what my broken Danteon needed, implying I can't gather natural energy. Once my genuine chi drains mid-fight, I'm totally screwed without backup pills. Checking my status, I spotted a new stat, a flat 10 luck points that wasn't there before. I tracked it down to the storage ring, the one I scored at the auction, crafted from that bizarre meteorite ore. Taking it off dropped my luck straight to 0. Putting it back on, boom, right back to 10. Luck buffs everything: drop rates, skill leveling speed, alchemy success rate, and even critical hit chances. This ring was absolutely priceless. I began fantasizing about tracking down more of that meteorite to max out my luck at 100. But honestly, the dream was just too good to be true. After being away for 2 weeks, I finally made it back to Fenyuan's shop. The storefront was totally jammed. Massive crowds were screaming for top-tier healing, medicines, and paper talismans. Elder Lu had been hyping my stock since the bidding war, and now his shelves were completely bare. He'd been praying for my return every single day. He grabbed me and hauled me inside the back room, straight up begging for pills right this second, before the angry mob trashed the place. I reached inside my collar to scratch some grime off, since I hadn't washed up in half a month, and rolled the dirt into a tiny pellet between my fingers, while muttering that I seriously needed a bath. Elder Lu instantly snatched the dirt ball right out of my hand, mistaking it for a pill before I could even explain. He bolted outside to the mob, shouting, "Just one pill. We have exactly one." An intense bidding war kicked off instantly. 3,000, 5,000, 7,000. Suddenly, a loud voice cut through the noise. Yugo Jinxiang, bid 100,000. Clear out. The rest of you broke losers. Juga Jinxiang? I knew that name immediately. It was the exact fake alias I had fed to the blood-refining sect. The guy sported a shiner and a bruised-up face. Looks like someone had jumped him recently, tossed a sack over his head, and beat him within an inch of his life. He'd been hunting for the culprit, but came up empty. It had to be the blood-refining sect, coming around to square up with Zhuge Jinxiang. I felt a tiny pang of guilt. Okay, maybe just a smidge. He won the bidding, paid the cash, and popped the pill straight into his mouth. He chewed it slowly, then knit his brows. Why is this so sour? I could barely keep it together. The moment Elder Lu snatched that ball of dirt from my hands and bolted outside to peddle it as a pill, I tried so hard to stifle my laughter that my face flushed red. A bidding war erupted instantly, and naturally, the loudest buyer was Zhuge Jinxiang, the genuine article. That arrogant brat from the Zhuge divine manor. He snagged it for 100,000 silver taels, then turned around to mock me, calling me trash, and laughing at my shattered Danteon. I simply smirked and told him he'd be flying out of this shop in no time. Before he could even finish his threat, his stomach began to growl furiously. He gripped his belly in sheer agony, attempting to exit with some dignity left, by claiming he had pressing matters to attend to. And then, the sound effects kicked in, wet, explosive blasts erupting from his backside. The stench hit the room like a weapon. Everyone witnessed the stains spreading across his trousers, as liquid trickled right down his leg, while he bolted for the door, hollering that he'd be back. The whole place just blew up. Everyone was literally crying laughing. Hands down the best moment of my life so far. Elder Lu hauled me into the back room and demanded to know what I'd given the guy. I just rolled another ball of grime off my skin and showed him what 2 weeks without a shower looks like. Turns out, my body dirt packs more punch than most actual poisons. His face went totally pale. He asked if I had beef with the Yugo family. I just shrugged, then he mentioned that someone had recently broken into Yugo Manor and thrashed Yugo Jinxiang within an inch of his life. That was definitely the blood-refining sect. Seeking payback for that fake name, I fed them. Keeping a total straight face, I told him I'd been chilling at home the entire time. Elder Lu admitted he'd already figured out I was Long Fei, but he purposely chose not to dig into my background. Smart move on his part, since I would have cut him off instantly if he tried. He swore my identity would remain under wraps, which worked out perfectly for both of us. Then I questioned him about the material used to craft my storage ring. He confessed that the whole mysterious meteorite angle was just hyped to jack up the price. They had actually run tests on it already and couldn't figure out what the metal even was. So the ring's luck boost remained an enigma, albeit a super convenient one. Next, I brought up the real motive for my visit. I require the recipe for True Spirit Pills. It's a 5th-tier pill that instantly restores 500 true energy. With the upcoming family trials, I seriously needed to stock up. Elder Lu got pretty eager, but noted that the formula belonged to his young mistress, and he needed her green light first. I asked him to let me speak with her face-to-face. I kind of wanted to check out what this secret boss was all about, but he mentioned she was hosting clients and barely takes visitors. As he walked upstairs, I suddenly caught some pretty familiar voices. Those 3 sisters from the heavenly sect were up there, practically begging this chick they called Big Cousin to hook them up with the talisman master. Turns out the eldest sister hadn't slept in a fortnight over some crafting dilemma she couldn't figure out. Talk about a small world upstairs. The Fenyuan Alliance's young mistress, a lady named Fu Yunshin, was having a chat with the 3 heavenly sect sisters. As it happens, the youngest sister, Xiao Tian, is actually Fu Yunshin's cousin. They've been pestering her to set up a meeting with that enigmatic talisman master. The oldest sibling, Lu Luashi, had been tossing and turning for weeks due to a talisman-making roadblock she couldn't crack. Fu Yunshin proposed a bargain. She'd hand over the true spirit pill formula to the master, but on one condition: the master or his pupil had to clear up a question for Lu Luashi. Elder Lu was well aware that I was the master, but he went along with it, claiming that my apprentice just happened to be around today. When the trio of sisters strode in and spotted me chilling there, drinking tea, Xiao Tian blurted out, "What are you doing here? Are you the janitor?" I shot right back, "Is that how you greet the guy who saved your skins?" I put on a hurt face and made a move to leave, acting like some high and mighty disciple of a legend who didn't need their charity. Elder Lu looked completely baffled. Lu Luashi instantly rushed forward to apologize, courteously addressing me as their savior. I insisted that Xiao Tian make a personal apology. She almost lost it until her older sister threw her a death stare, forcing her to drop to her knees and drag out an apology right through her clenched teeth. I cupped my ear, acting like I couldn't quite hear her, so she repeated it a bit sweeter this time, though her voice practically dripped with forced politeness. I made her say it a 3rd time, honestly just because it was a blast watching her face turn bright red. The second sister, Yezian, stayed quiet but seemed lost in deep thought. I could tell she was puzzled how someone with a completely destroyed Dantian could have anything to do with alchemy and forging talismans. Once Tian had apologized properly, I got down to business. Lu Luosher then brought up her question. How did those supreme grade talismans pack such a mind-blowing punch when low-tier ones can't handle much true energy? Without snapping, I gave it to her straight. Just swap out the cinnabar ink for demon beast blood. The beast's inherent energy takes the place of the true energy you'd normally inject, amplifying the power without blowing up the talisman. Everyone was completely floored. Lu Luashi, Elder Lu, the whole lot of them. Not a soul on this entire continent had ever thought of doing that before. I looked at their blank stares and just shrugged. It's literally just trading ink for blood. What's the big deal? You guys seriously need to get out more. Lu Luashi then asked how the talismans managed to hold 3 distinct elemental traits: wind, illusion, and water. She argued that nobody can possess 3 elemental affinities. So how on earth did my master pull it off? I grinned and just said, pure luck, before adding that if she managed to absorb elemental beast cores, it'd seriously assist her in making attribute charms. That was the absolute limit of what I'd leak. Spilling any more would totally tank my earnings. I'm not dense enough to give away the game, just because a gorgeous girl is begging for answers. When she kept pressing for the details, I just played dumb, smirked, and told her my master's methods were strictly classified, and the sole way she'd ever learn them was by marrying me. That way, she wouldn't be an outsider anymore. Well, Xiao Tian lost her mind. She called me a lowlife aiming way out of my league. So I snapped back that even if I were desperate, I'd never go for a flat-chested chick like her. That totally touched a nerve, and she went absolutely ballistic, screaming at the top of her lungs that she had curves, while trying to throw hands at me. Luckily, her sisters held her back. At one point, she was even shouting about stripping down right there just to prove it. But then, she checked herself and shrieked that she was going to murder me. Instead, Lu Luashi apologized for the chaotic scene, thank me for the pointers, and drag her sisters out onto the street. Tian was still seething over the flat chest insult. So Yeezian poked fun at her, saying, she definitely had a thing for me, since nobody else ever gets under her skin like this. Tian was practically in tears denying it. Meanwhile, Luluashi was lost in her own thoughts during the walk back, replaying everything I'd mentioned about beast blood and elemental cores, try to figure out how to actually pull it off. Once they'd left, Elder Lu informed me that their fathers were all grandmasters of the heavenly sect, heavy hitters, basically. I couldn't care less about the elder's daughters. Big deal. I secured the true spirit pill recipe, just as I promised, and handed over a storage ring, packed with 100 healing pills, 30 of which were top-tier quality. I requested that he source as many medicinal herbs for the true spirit pill as possible, and to set aside any level 5 demon beast blood that came in. I needed a bigger stockpile of talismans. My logic was simple. If I can't take you down with my fists, I'll just drown you in talismans instead. Elder Lu put 2 and 2 together, realizing I was prepping for the family trials. And guess Long Zhanwu was the one force in my hand. I confirmed it, and though he didn't pry, I could tell he was genuinely worried. The moment I left, he relayed everything to Fu Yingshan. She straight away commanded an associate named Uncle He to keep tabs on Long Zhanwu and keep me safe. To her, after all, I held the key for the Fenyuan alliance, to corner the entire city's pill and talisman trade. Losing a guy like me wasn't an option. I spent 5 days botching the true spirit pills, before finally nailing a successful batch. This formula was way trickier than the healing pills. It took dozens of failed tries, just to get a feel for the herb properties and balances. But once I figured it out, I could churn them out in bulk. Each pill instantly regenerates 500 true energy within 3 seconds, carrying a 5-minute cooldown period between doses. Pairing these with my healing pills meant I'd never run completely out of steam in a brawl. I burned through my remaining days, concocting pills and grinding my skills around the clock. By the eve of the grand assessment, my Phantom Wind Shadow steps had successfully reached level 1. Meanwhile, my dragon slaying rampage technique could now accumulate up to 120 stacks of blade energy. Maximum power on the Toad constriction technique. My ring's luck bonus boosted the damage by 400%, and it even had potential for critical strikes. Meds are ready, and talismans are good to go. Man, I wish there had been time to craft battle puppets, but time was just running too short. Meanwhile, the vultures were closing in. Long Zhanwu and Long Zhanya had laid the groundwork. They locked in hits from the Shiyu Guild, scoring a buy-one-get-one contract. First target. Take out Long John Hai the moment he ends his isolation. Second target. Off me during the upcoming trials. If their own lax couldn't do the job, the hired guns certainly would. Over at the Fong Yuan Alliance, Fu Yingshan caught wind of the plot via her uncle's spy network. Yet, he reminded her of the absolute directive. Intervention in domestic matters is strictly forbidden. So she reached out to the local heavenly sex sect instead, since they could step in where the alliance couldn't. Every single major power was embedding operatives into the testing zones too. The Zhu Jie clan, the Li Marshal Hall, Prince Nangong, and the Emperor, all of them deployed scouts to track down the mysterious new dragon god champion. The directives were identical across the board. Locate them, and if recruitment fails, eliminate them. The evening prior, I chilled in the courtyard, eating the midnight snack, chow whipped up, while she massaged my shoulders. I told her to stay out of sight. Use the wards if anyone caused trouble, and bolt to Elder Lu at the phone. Repair shop if things went south. I'd spent weeks trying to teach her cultivation, but her body completely pushed back against martial arts. It wasn't a matter of her lacking brains. There was just something different about her. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. Grasping my hand, she told me to stay safe. I squeezed her fingers back and joked that I was bulletproof. Come next morning, the Long family arena was absolutely packed. Long Zhanwu stepped up to lay down the rules. First up, 2 rounds. A 3-day trial out in the Holy Mountain Range. With your score based on demon beast kills. You get 10 points for level 1, 50 for level 2, 100 for level 3, and 500 for level 4. Stopping a level 5 yields 1,000. They gave us a fair warning. If you run into anything level 3 or higher on your own, you better haul ass immediately. Round 2 features arena combat for the top 16 scores. The grand prize for first place was insane, qualifying for next spring's Heavenly Sex selection. A ticket to the year-end royal banquet known as the Summit of the Forbidden Palace, plus the exclusive right to master the Long family's ultimate heaven-grade technique, the Dragon Subjugation Strike. The second Long Zhanwu finished his speech, a system notification pinged right inside my head. The system immediately triggered a quest, right as Long Zhanwu declared the rewards. Objective: clinch first place in the family assessment. A-rank mission rewards: 100,000 experience points, 1,000 true energy, 500 system points, and a set of Earth-grade dragon battle armor. Stacking those 500 points on top of my current stash, I'd finally have what it takes to unlock Demon Cultivation Mode. I was taking that top spot no matter what. The loot alone was just too good. Even without the quest perks, the winner secures a spot in next spring's Heavenly Sex Selection, an official invite to the year-end royal banquet, and the privilege of mastering our clan's heaven-grade art, the Dragon Subjugation Strike. It's a legacy move from our founding forefather, guaranteeing complete invincibility against anyone of equivalent cultivation. The entire crowd was totally hyped up when this guy Long Yong singled me out and began trash-talking. Right in front of the whole assembly, he asked what the deal was if someone accidentally took my life. During the trial, Long Zhanwu grinned and replied that freak accidents do occur, and if you can't survive them, you've only got your own weakness to blame. Honestly, that was pretty much giving everyone the green light to take me out. The mob mocked and threw threats my way, while I just stood there looking totally unfazed. But internally, I was counting targets and doing the math. Every single kill nets me 10 berserk energy points. With so many targets aiming for my head, I'll easily stack up over 100 points in total. Long Zhanwu's so-called accident clause actually played right into my hands. Now, I didn't need to show any mercy either. We journeyed for half a day to reach Firewolf Valley, a massive gorge nestled within the Holy Mountain Range, teeming with firewolves. The guidelines were: slay demonic beasts for 3 days to score points. Return on the dot or your tally is completely wiped. And absolutely do not venture past the valley limits. Everyone immediately began squad building like a game lobby, but I headed in completely solo. Little did I know, behind the scenes, Long Zhanwu had dispatched operatives to tail me, backed up by contract killers from the Shadow Guild. Should they fail, the elite forces from all 3 rival clans, along with both factions of the Nangong Imperial family, had also flooded the canyon with hitmen, scouting for the fabled Dragon God Warrior. The whole world wanted the Long clan wiped out. What I had no clue about, though, was that the trio of Heavenly Sex sisters had tagged along. Fuyin Shan had actually cashed in a favor with Lu Luoshi, begging her to keep me safe from the hitmen. Lu Luoshi showed up solo, but the other 2 totally insisted on coming with. Tian was still super pissed about that comment on her chest, yet apparently, she just couldn't stop talking about me either. Yezin teased her for catching feelings, while Lu Luoshi poked fun at them both. They all denied everything, blushing like crazy. 2 hours after entering the valley, I pushed deep into a distant, completely secluded spot right on the edge. I'd sensed people tailing me the entire time. Stopping in my tracks, I turned back with a smirk. You guys have been tracking me this whole way. Aren't you exhausted? Come on out and play. That 2-hour sprint wasn't me running away. I was just scouting for a quiet area, somewhere totally hidden, where nobody could witness what was coming next. 3 Long clan disciples emerged right out of the shadows. Their leader scoffed and mocked if I was actively looking for my own grave. I questioned why they wanted me dead, even though I already knew the answer. The leader confirmed it came straight from Long Zhanwu. I stood in the way of the Grand Elder's rise to power. I nodded. Perfect. Now I'm completely certain. He snapped back, asking what I was certain about. Iflesha Asabe, toothed tiger talisman right between my fingers, and grinned. Certain that you're about to die. I let the talisman fly, and triggered Phantom Wind Shadow Steps at the exact same moment. The tiger ripped one guy apart instantly, tearing through his throat in a split second. I slashed my reclamation blade, and dropped the second guy, with a single dragon-slaying blow. 2 down in under 3 seconds flat. Their leader lost his cool and bolted, thinking he'd actually made out. Then I blindsided him using the toad technique, triggering a strangle that totally mangled his insides, like they'd been shoved through a meat grinder. Blood splattered everywhere. Wiped out. No time to waste, so I pressed further into the canyon. An hour later, Long Ao realized his squad had lost my trail, so he dispatched Long Yong and a crew to track me down, vowing to take me alive just to finish me off himself, getting slapped twice in the face. Sure builds a lifelong vendetta. Meanwhile, I stumbled upon my actual target. Fire wolves. These were level 1 demon beasts with blazing pelts. Firing up my shadow steps, I moved swift as the wind, and began hacking them down back to back. Every kill netted me 300 EXP and 10 true energy. After 2 straight hours of grinding, I finally advanced to the 7th rank of Battle Master. Still not cutting it, though. Half the rivals were already at Battle Spirit tier. I had to keep grinding. I slaughtered fire wolves the entire day, and by dusk, my experience bar was halfway full. Suddenly, the howling kicked off, one cry from a ridge, and then the whole valley went wild. The night was their prime hunting hour. They grew quicker, more ruthless, and easily outmatched human vision in the dark. While every other contender went into hiding, I kept on slicing. The scent of gore was luring them. From all sides, around 500 wolves were closing in on my spot, gathering into one massive pack. I was loving it. More wolves meant more XP. By using my phantom wind shadow steps, they couldn't get near me as I danced through them, hacking and slashing with a manic grin. Hidden somewhere in the dark, the 3 heavenly sex sisters were keeping watch. They had tracked me down an hour ago. Tion kept calling me a total idiot for not having the sense to hide at night. EXIN teased her for being so worried, which Tion heatedly denied, even though her eyes never left my direction. Lulawashi reminded them they were only after the Shah. You guild hitmen. Everything else was none of their business. But as the wolf pack closed in around me, even she went dead silent. Keep it down, she breathed. The pack has arrived. Hundreds of emerald eyes gleamed in the dark, hemming me in from every side. Fire wolves completely jammed the narrow gorge, their bared fangs glinting as they crept forward. I've been so caught up in the slaughter that I failed to notice the swarm gathering until they completely boxed me in. No sweat, though. I popped a true spirit pill, restored 500 true energy, and cracked my knuckles. An entire month of grueling grind. And now I finally had the ultimate test. Little White poked his head out of the pet realm, rubbing his sleepy eyes. Need a hand, master? I just told him to go back to sleep. He yawned, turned around, and crashed right back out, without showing a single shred of worry. Gripping my reclamation blade tight, I charged headfirst straight into the horde. I unleashed the ultimate dragon-slaying blade technique, chaining all 7 forms in a row, stacking up layers upon layers of lethal blade energy. My hands were shaking from the vibration of the blade, as I could barely hold back its raw energy. Then, winding back, I let scores of wolves dive at me from all sides, unleashing total devastation with a dragon-slaying rampage. Arcing waves of pure blade energy erupted outward, stacking up to a massive 128 layers. Beating my last record, the wolves were sliced apart in droves. Severed limbs flew as blood rained down everywhere. The system alerts were popping off like crazy. I just hit level 8, becoming a battle master. Right after, a unique notification flashed. Slaying 1,000 firewolves unlocked a new title. Wolf Slayer Champion, packing bonus XP, true energy reserve points, score points, and a flat 10% damage buff against firewolves. The remaining 300 wolves began pulling back. They were terrified. I smirked while sprinting. Who said you guys could leave? Blade in hand, I hunted the pack across the canyon. A pack of wolves running for their lives from a single guy. Talk about a complete role reversal. Hiding out in the dark, the 3 sisters caught the whole show. Tion stared in absolute disbelief, asking if they were seeing things. Ijun just called me a lunatic, while Lulawashi scrutinized my swordplay, deciding it had to be at least heaven grade, wondering what kind of legendary master trained me. Tion muttered, he's low-key kind of hot. Ijun called her out instantly. Didn't you say he was totally mid? Tion countered that she meant his vibe, not his looks. They started petty bickering over body shapes again, until Lulawashi snapped at them to shut up and keep up. By then, I was already gone, stalking wolves into the horizon. I tracked them all night until daybreak. Every single one of the 300 wolves was finished. My XP had just shot up by nearly 100,000 points, leaving me only about 200,000 shy of the next level. But right when I was having the absolute time of my life, something seriously messed up was going down. Elsewhere in the valley, more than a dozen of the Long clans, top-tier disciples, were slaughtered during the night. Their tendons were slashed, and their bodies completely bled out. The executioners were hit squads from the Jug family, hitmen deployed by the Nangong royal lineage, and elite combatants dispatched by Prince Nangong Lei. They were methodically picking off the Long family's brightest, rising stars, and nobody back home even had a clue. I stumbled upon the 3rd corpse that morning, yet another disciple of the Long family, with cut tendons and a drain body. It matched the exact blueprint of the previous 2 I'd run into. The execution style varied slightly with each target, which meant several rival factions had breached the valley. It made me think back to my own brush with death, getting jumped by that cloaked freak who tried to siphon my blood. The other three great pillars had to be behind this, making their play. While I was inspecting the remains, a voice suddenly barked from right behind me. Caught you red-handed, Long Fei, butchering your own kin. I'll bring you down in the name of justice. Long Yong, a first-rank battle spirit warrior. He completely blocked my path of retreat and gestured to the corpse as ironclad proof. This was clearly Long Ao's handiwork. They'd sicked their heaviest hitter on me. I didn't even bother wasting words when he ordered me to drop to my knees. I just smirked and triggered my phantom wind shadow steps. He threw a devastating mountain splitter strike straight at my head. A lethal blow calculated to finish me right then and there. But by the time his punch actually landed, I'd already slipped behind him and dropped into toad stance, lunged straight into his chest, and completely shattered every single rib. Then I channeled pure energy right into his vital organs, leaving his insides totally mangled and torn apart. He spat up a mouthful of dark blood, stared at me in pure shock, and dropped down dead. A battle spirit warrior, taken out in seconds by a mere battle master level guy. The system prompted me to activate my berserk attribute. I passed on it. No point wasting that on small fry. A figure clad in black dropped silently out of a tree, checked out Long Yang's corpse after I left, and vanished. Turns out somebody else was tracking me. An hour down the road, Long Ao was throwing a fit over Long Yang's death, stomping on the body and calling him totally worthless. He dispatched 2 more assassins after me, and worse. The 3 great pillar spies had all just watched me take down Long Yang. Their verdict was completely unanimous. Long Fei might be awakening his dragon god bloodline. He's got to die, though I knew absolutely nothing yet. I was just chilling by a creek, roasting a rabbit. I tried to share some with Little White, but for once, the little glutton didn't even budge. He'd been out cold since we made it back from the peaks, and I had a hunch. He was right on the verge of leveling up. Meanwhile, somewhere back in the dark, 3 bellies were rumbling incredibly loud. Those sisters had been tailing me for over a day, without a single bite to eat. The aroma of my barbecue was driving them crazy. Tian almost blew their cover a few times, so they decided to whip up their own meal. Lu Luashi hunted down a beast. Tian collected logs, and they built a campfire. 10 minutes later, the exterior was completely charred, but the inside stayed totally raw and bloody. Tian took a bite and instantly spat it right out. Yijun sampled some, turned purple, and grabbed her chest, claiming she was being poisoned. Lu Luashi took one bite, went pale, and also spat it out. How can the exact same food taste so completely different? She grumbled in defeat. I noticed those 3 sisters shadowing me ever since the previous night. At first, I figured they were Long John Woo's crew, but after I faked being hurt a few times, and nobody jumped me, I knew they weren't hostiles. When I finally spotted them, I was shocked and maybe even a bit flattered. I left half a roasted rabbit on the ground for them, before making a show of chasing down some beast. They needed a meal that evening. I didn't actually hunt, though. Instead, I lay low and waited, wanted to unmask whoever was killing. The Long family disciples. Half an hour later, I heard shouting, running, and the clashing of blades. 4 Long family members had been ambushed. 3 dropped instantly. The 4th, Long Shan, that guard captain I thrashed a month back, managed to break away toward my position. 3 assassins dressed in black cornered him, pinning him against a tree by driving swords through both of his shoulders. They produced a custom vial to collect his blood. Long Shan, despite the excruciating pain, stayed focused and recognized his attackers. Death soldiers from the Jugo, Divine Manor. He even deduced they were behind the initial hit on me, the ambush that ruined my cultivation. They didn't even deny it. They just said once they finished him off, they were coming for me next. No way I was just going to sit back and watch. So, I triggered a water element saber-toothed tiger talisman. The beast lunged forward, ripping the throat out of the first assassin. Before he could even process it, the system logged the kill, plus 2,300 experience points. The remaining 2 immediately came at me. Long Shan screamed for me to bail, warning me they were battle spirit level fighters that I couldn't handle. I just gave him a cold stare and shot back. Since when does the dragon army run away? That hit home, and he completely shut up. These 2 were a different breed from Long. Young, death. Soldiers throw down with 0 regard for their own skin. When I swung my sword at one of them, he didn't even flinch, just thrust his weapon right back at me. Straight up suicide tactics. Incredibly sketchy. Then I caught the sound of more footsteps, charging down the slope toward us. Reinforcements. I had to wrap this up fast. I unleashed the second phase of Phantom Wind. Shadow steps. It was the exact breakthrough I've been grinding for all month. Lingering wave steps. My agility skyrocketed, and my slashes accelerated with it. I executed the dragon-slaying blade technique at a blistering pace. The two death soldiers couldn't keep up, even with their battle spirit rank. They were completely left in the dust by sheer velocity. I sliced them both down without even needing to discharge the stored blade energy. The system pinged twice, followed by a level-up notification. Current status, 9th rank. Battle Master. Longshan just goggled at me, totally speechless. A mere month ago, I could barely hold my own against a low-tier grunt. Now I was wrecking battle spirit assassins. Like it was nothing. I dragged Longshan down from the branches and tossed him a top-tier recovery pill. The dude practically bawled with gratitude, vowing that his life was mine. From here on out, I just told him to pipe down and lie low in a hollow tree until he mended. He tipped me off that it wasn't just the Jude clan. Lurking around, the Lee Marshal Hall, Prince Nangong's elite fighters, and even the Emperor's own spy masters had flooded the valley. On top of that, Long Ao's goons were still tracking me. So everybody wants me dead? Fine. Let's see who ends up on top. I spent the rest of the night acting as a one-man counter-assassination unit, relying on my lingering wave steps and talismans. I turned the tables on the infiltrators, while they were busy stalking Long family disciples. Every single time, I spotted a pack of black-cloaked killers ambushing. Our guys, I hit them hard and fast. Talisman tigers. The dragon-slaying blade technique, a chokehold. I cycled through my whole arsenal. The Lee and Juka commanders were getting seriously spooked. Their men kept dropping like flies, and they had no clue who was picking them off. They even started paranoid thoughts that the Long clan had set up a massive trap from the start. To every single Long family disciple I pulled out of the fire, I left them with the same words. Just a fellow member of the Long family. Nothing more. They never managed to catch a clear look at me. But rumors traveled fast, and the remaining disciples began banding together to survive, which completely ruined the assassins' plans. Look, I wasn't playing the hero for the hell of it. These were my people, and the Great Elder was the only person who ever truly looked out for me. And this clan was everything to him. No way was I letting outsiders butcher our disciples. While Long John Woo just sat on his hands. Plus, dropping guys gave way sweeter rewards and fire. Wolves, EXP points, and loot I could trade for system points. My tally shot up to 800. Only 200 left to unlock demon cultivation mode. Meanwhile, Long Ao's thugs couldn't track me down, so he told them to focus on hunting monsters instead, just to lock down first place on the leaderboard. Long John Woo had tipped him off. If I wasn't dead by the second night, someone else would take care of it on day 3. Someone way deadlier. By daybreak, I completely lost count of the assassins I dropped. I washed my face in a creek and cashed in all my item drops for points. Suddenly, the ground began to tremble, and trees were getting ripped right out of the dirt. Something massive was tearing through the woods. Into the canyon, a level 5 demon beast, the size of a mountain and totally berserk. It was obliterating everything in its path. The Long family disciples shrieked and scattered in absolute chaos. A tier 5 monster has no business in the outer perimeter. Somebody had herded it here on purpose. A beast master. This was Prince Nangong Lei's move. He'd unleashed a tamed monster into the valley to wipe out everyone, the Long family disciples, the juggernaut troops, the fighters. Every last one of them, a total clean sweep. I dashed up to the ridge and peered down at the rampaging behemoth. Its hide radiated a golden aura. I smirked. A boss. I found the boss. A giant creature shimmering with gold light, though not quite as radiant as the flood dragon or white wolf. Yet there's no denying they're a boss. In my eyes, you never let a boss slip away, period. I was ready to rush in, when a lethal, razor-sharp aura locked right onto me. An assassin crept up from behind, incredibly quick, deadly, and throwing out sword energy that tracked my every step. It didn't matter how I dodged using my lingering wave strides. I yelled out into the dark. Are you 3 pitching in, or just enjoying the show? The Sisters of the Heavenly Sect leaped into action right away. Lu Luashi unleashed a barrage of 108 sword blossoms at the killer. Tion shouted out that she'd been waiting 3 whole days for this exact moment. Ijun shattered the sword energy tailing me with just a single blow. They cornered the assassin within seconds. I broke out into a cold sweat. The killer turned out to be a woman in tight tactical gear, boasting a seriously stunning figure. I couldn't help but ask if I owed her cash or something. Tion chimed in, telling me she belonged to a shy guild. Lu Luashi confirmed that Long John Woo was the one who put the hit out. What a jerk. He actually raided the family vault just to fund my execution. I was absolutely livid. One of our own. spending our clan's fortune to take out the rightful successor. I tried cutting a deal with the assassin. Take down Long John Woo instead, and I'll spare your life. She just sneered at me. Lu Luashi explained that once a hit is ordered, the Shaolin Guild never switches up targets. They'll come after me for the rest of my days. Tian told me not to sweat it. They got my back. Ijin teased her about shielding her little boyfriend. Tian shot right back, reminding her that Ijin promised to marry me. Back in that cave. Honestly, I had no clue what was going on between them. Right then, the earth shook violently. That level 5 beast was charging straight at us. Taking advantage of the brief distraction, the assassin melted right into the woods, leaving behind a spine-chilling threat. I'll be back for you, Long Fei. I didn't bother giving chase. I had a boss to slay. I bolted straight toward the rampaging monster, while the sisters shrieked for me to hold on. Using my system, I quickly scanned its stats. Immense power, Golden Ape Peak. Level 5 technique, Mountain Smash Palm. Boasts a 5-star rating in both offense and defense. Currently in Berserk mode, boosting attack and speed by 20%, slashing defense by 20% with 500,000 health points. The damn thing was absolutely wrecking the valley. I watched it snatch a long family disciple from a tree, howling as it tore him completely in two, like a piece of paper, beating its chest and roaring. Next, it yanked a massive tree from the earth and crushed several other disciples, who were taking cover behind boulders. Dozens of our people had already been wiped out between these past 2 nights of assassinations. And now this monster we had lost. Nearly 2/3 of the trial's participants. Prince Ningong Lei was definitely behind this, using a beast tamer to drive a level 5 monster into the valley to slaughter everyone. The 3 great pillars were constantly pushing our family around, and now even some wild brute was massacring our kin? Did everyone seriously think the Long family was just some soft target to be bullied? I flashed a smirk at the 3 sisters. I'm going to take this thing down. Meanwhile, in the city, Long Zhongwu received reports of the level 5 beast, wreaking absolute havoc across Firewolf Valley. His only reaction? He just asked if I was dead yet. He didn't give a damn about the dozens of clan disciples currently getting butchered, solely if I've been wiped out. Long Jinya implored him to call off the trial and back them up, but Long Jinwu refused. He claimed the beast was meant to test the disciples' grit, but the real truth was way more twisted. He'd literally let every top disciple get slaughtered, just to ensure I didn't make it. Even Long Jinya was horrified. His own flesh and blood had completely lost his mind over this petty power grab. The 3 opposing clans realized that Long Jinwu wasn't sending reinforcements and couldn't believe their luck. They quickly cleared all their folks from the valley, covering up their tracks entirely. They were ecstatic. The Long family's next line of succession was being utterly destroyed, and their very own patriarch was just letting it slide. Meanwhile, I went straight for the Golden Ape boss. Leaping into the air, I struck its backside, using the dragon slaying blade technique. The damage stat that flashed on screen? A measly 2 points of damage out of a massive 500,000 HP pool. Before I could even swear about it, the ape swatted me down like a fly. I slammed into the dirt so hard it left a crater, leaving my insides feeling totally pulverized. I downed a top-tier rejuvenation pill and used my sword to hurl myself back up. Seeing I was still breathing, the ape took that personally. It locked both arms high above its head, readying its mountain smash skill. I managed to narrowly avoid it using lingering wave steps. The terrain behind me violently shattered into dust and debris. The 3 sisters shrieked out my name, convinced that I was a goner. Coughing through the haze, I yelled back, "Chill out. I'm still kicking." Right then, the giant ape lost interest in me and pivoted right toward the girls. It let out a sonic roar that paralyzed their minds. They just stood there, completely frozen. It brought its fists up to flatten Luluashi. Something inside me snapped, and I bellowed, "Lay a hand on my girls, and your history." I immediately dropped into a full toad stance, channeling every single ounce of my true energy. I poured all 1,800 points into a lone toad technique strike. Crashing straight into the ape's chest, I locked on a stranglehold. Its massive frame shuddered as it reeled backward. That devastating mountain smash got cut short. The total damage? A measly 8,090 out of 500,000. Even after giving it absolutely everything, I barely made a dent in the thing. I downed a true spirit pill to kickstart my recovery and bolted straight toward the sisters, shouting for them to snap out of it and haul ass. Tian's face turned bright crimson. She self-consciously muttered, "What did you just say?" I said, "I told you guys to get moving." She shook her head. "No, right before that." I racked my brain. "Oh, Lay a hand on my girls and your history. She began nervously playing with her sleeve, blushing even harder. No, not that. The other thing you muttered next. I try to recall. Oh, damn it. Her expression instantly shifted from bashful to utterly livid. She started shrieking at the top of her lungs. I just stared at her, completely clueless. What the hell is your problem? Have you lost your mind? That golden ape's defense was just ridiculous. Even with all my true energy poured into that stranglehold, it only shaved off 8,000 HP out of a 500,000 pool. Pure brute force wasn't going to cut it. I debated unboxing the dragon slaying blade. That would definitely pierce right through its armor. But if anyone caught a glimpse of it, I'd be inviting a whole world of trouble. That had to remain my absolute last resort. Instead, I hurled a top-tier tiger talisman right at its face. That phantom tiger sank its teeth in, dealing a few thousand points of damage. But the ape just shredded it like scrap paper. Even our talismans weren't packing enough punch. We were completely hitting a wall. Luosher warned that we'd all burn out and die at this rate. Just then, Little White chimed in from within the pet space master. Bait the thing further into the canyon. I had no clue what his game plan was. But if Little White claimed he could handle it, I backed him completely. I ordered the girls to bolt toward the valley's exit, while I lured the monster off in the opposite direction. Before they could object, I charged right at the ape, downed a true spirit pill, and bellowed, "Hey, ugly. Your granddaddy's right here. Come get some." I chucked another talisman to keep its aggro up. The ape went totally ballistic and swung at me. A tree shattered into a burst of wooden shards, and a flying chunk sliced my back, drawing blood. I screamed at Luosher to quit freezing up and move. She hated the idea of leaving. None of them wanted to. Yet Luosher knew that if they hung around, they'd just trip me up and get us all wiped out. She turned to the other two, explaining that I was putting my life on the line for them, and turning back would only add 3 more bodies to the count. She dragged them away. Tion's voice cracked with fear as she asked, "Is he going to die?" Luosher stayed silent. I kept pressing deeper into the gorge, mocking the brute every couple of seconds, and throwing talismans to maintain its focus. I popped true spirit pills the second their cooldown reset, just to keep my energy topped off over 1,000. Thank goodness I'd bulk crafted those pills beforehand. Behind me, the surviving disciples of the Long Clan were regrouping at a designated assembly point. It hit them that I was the one who'd lured the monster away. Long Shan, the captain of the guard whose neck I just saved, stood his ground and made it clear that I was the reason. Any of them were still breathing. He warned that anyone trash-talking me to his face would have to answer to his spear. Long Ao just smirked, calling me a total idiot for picking a fight with a tier 5 beast. Long Shan lost it. He aimed his blade right at Long Ao's throat. Long Ao stumbled backward in pure panic, shouting frantically for his guards. Instead, the other disciples backed Long Shan up, glaring down Long Ao's security detail. Nobody dared to make a move. For once, the clan's disciples actually had my back. Long Shan stared into the canyon and muttered quietly, "Young master, please pull through this." Luoshi ordered her crew back to town for reinforcements, then doubled back by herself to hunt for me. She'd given Fu Yunshan her word to protect me, and she meant to keep it, even if it cost her everything. I put my neck on the line for her twice now, and she was ready to return the favor. I'd been on the run since dawn, pushing through till dark, dragging that golden ape completely away from fire, Wolf Valley, and deep into the sacred peaks. My medicine stash was running dry. I was totally out of breath. "Little White, are we good to go?" "Yeah." Thank goodness. If it had been a no, I seriously think I would have snapped. Little White sprang from the familiar dimension, leaped onto a withered branch, and cried out at the moon, the sound echoing across the land. Suddenly, the woods woke up. Answering cries echoed from every corner. The fire wolves that had scattered from the valley came swarming right back, hundreds of them, then over 1,000, packing in around the tree, gazing up at Little White with absolute adoration, treating him like a literal god. His mythical beast skill, the Wolf King's authority to summon and lead the pack, could only call 4th level 1 wolves right now. But 1,000 of them is still 1,000 of them. Little White glared at the golden primate and growled, "How dare you mess with my master? Get him, boys." A massive wave of 1,000 wolves charged straight ahead. They couldn't inflict much damage on their own, but their sheer numbers made it impossible for the ape to shake them off. It crushed dozens of them with every single swing, yet more kept rushing in, while the wolves pinned it down. I had Little White scout the area for any people nearby. Nobody's around? Perfect. I focused on the dragon slaying blade, stored inside my inventory ring, and smirked. Time to give them a taste of what you can do. I whipped it out, and the very instant it manifested, its terrifying pressure erupted in all directions. The sword was incredibly heavy. Even as a 9th rank battlemaster, I had to use both hands just to grip it properly, dragging the edge along the ground. With sparks flying, I leaped upward with everything I had. Dragonstein blad technique. Skin split. A clean slash tore across the ape's chest. The damage indicator popped up. 29,800. That's nearly 30,000 points in just one hit. This blade was crafted to slice through dragon scales, so this oversized gorilla's hide didn't stand a chance. The ape slammed me hard into the dirt, but I downed a recovery pill and bounded right back up. Tendons sever. 48,000 damage. Bone crack. Blood slash. Spirit open. Soul shock. Death break. Each blow felt more devastating than the last. Every strike took its toll, though, leaving my body feeling completely drained. But man, the damage output was absolutely insane. 7 blows. 7 layers of blade energy, stacked and screeching. Right then, I barked and ordered a little white. He howled. Everyone fall back. The wolves broke formation instantly. The ape was loose, but it wasn't lunging at me. It just stared at the dragon's slaying blade. Shaking all over, a peak level, 5 beast was terrified. It spun around to flee. I gave a cold smirk. Running? What do you think you're off to? Leaping high into the air, I hoisted the dragon slaying blade overhead and brought it crashing down. Dragon slaying rampage. A tempest of blade energy smashed into the ape, launching its mountain-sized frame straight into the sky. Slash after slash poured down. A total of 130 strikes, each one far more brutal than the last. Now, blow to pieces. Those 130 layers of blade energy shredded the golden ape. Mid-air, I deactivated the berserk attribute, and the system alerts went absolutely wild. 300,000 EXP, 15,000 true energy, 200 bonus points, a level 5 wind beast core, the ape's blood essence, along with its trademark technique, mountain smash fist, a defensive gear piece called the diamond shield, plus a trait called right fist divine power, a true one-hit kill. On top of all that, I advanced to first rank battle spirit, which unlocked a special level up reward pack. I just stood there, grinning like an absolute fool. This all beat any massive loot drop I had ever scored in any video game. I inspected the rewards item by item. Mountain Smash Fist was a heaven grade. 5th rank martial technique, capable of wiping out anyone below the battle spirit realm, with a 10% probability of unleashing the ape's divine power. Absolutely insane. Meanwhile, the diamond shield was a heaven grade set of armor, which negates 80% of battle spirit strikes, 20% of battle king assaults, plus a 10% shot at triggering full divine protection to completely block a battle king's offensive. Once equipped, it becomes totally invisible. The ultimate counter to Long John Will. But that right fist divine power was just insane. The ape's blood melded straight into my right arm, buffing every single fiber from fingertip to shoulder. Blood vessels, tendons, even my pores. In the initial phase, I could wind it up for 3 minutes to unleash a strike that one-shots anyone below a level 6 Battle King and severely mangles actual Battle Kings. Phase 2 would actually manifest the ape's physical arm. Man, I was literally hyping myself up. Long John Woo's days of throwing his weight around were done. Next, I popped open the special gift pack. The system granted me an ability called Peerless. My heart practically skipped a beat. In gaming, Peerless translates to magic immunity, amped up attack, and boosted defense. Pretty much a temporary god mode. I unlocked it on the spot. What a god tier perk. Every single attribute doubles while it's live, draining 100 true energy per second for up to a minute. At my current rank, given my mana pool, I could probably keep it running for around 20 seconds. Still, 20 seconds of 2x stats across the board? That's plenty of time to wreck absolutely anyone. The upkeep would be a hassle down the road. But right then, I couldn't care less. Stacking Peerless with the dragon slaying blade, the diamond shield, and that right fist. Divine power all at once. I could easily take on anyone in the realm. I was so hyped up celebrating, though, that I completely missed Luluashi standing right there. She'd actually doubled back on her own to rescue me, getting there just in time to see me hurl that ape straight into the air and completely vaporize it with 130 layers of blade energy. She just gaped at me, totally lost for words. Little White trotted over and leaped right in her arms, looking totally pleased. Spotting her, I sheepishly scratched my head and said, "Didn't I tell you to beat it?" "Why'd you loop back?" She shot right back. "You ditched us just so you could solo a peak tier 5 beast? And you call 130 layers of blade energy, not being sure you can handle it? Who are you trying to play? Right then, her gaze locked onto the shattered blade in my hand. What kind of weapon is that anyway? Luluashi had spotted the dragon-slaying blade. No use hiding it now. I had plenty of aces on my sleeve, so spilling one more secret wasn't going to break me. She knew exactly what it was on site. Pretty much everyone in the realm is aware of that legendary weapon, which was crafted from dragon god blood. She demanded to know how I got it. I just told her it was a stroke of pure luck, and urged her to keep a tight lid on it. If the three great pillars ever found out the blade had returned, they'd hunt down the Long family more ruthlessly than ever. She beamed, a genuine, dimpled smile that was absolutely breathtaking. Without thinking, I blurted that out to her. She then teased if her smile was cuter than Tion's. I replied that it beat all of theirs by a mile. She called me a smooth talker, but agreed to keep my secret safe, on the condition that I do 3 favors for her. First off, whip her up some meat right this second. She was absolutely famished after spending days watching me feast, while she lay low in the brush. Seeing her desperation, I quickly threw some golden ape meat on the grill, as she scarfed down one slice after another, with grease dripping right off her chin. Step 2. Show her how to craft top-tier talismans. She figured my master had passed the method down to me. I could barely keep a straight face. If she only knew I was the master, her face would have been absolute gold. I gave her the nod and began the lesson. But every single time she picked up the brush, I cut her off. Wrong. Her true energy flow was totally off. Wrong. She hadn't even visualized the talisman's design yet. Wrong. It finally started clicking for her that everything she'd picked up from those supposed experts back at the Heavenly Sect was straight trash. Next to this, in the end, I let out a sigh, called her a lost cause, and showed her how it's done. Dipping the brush into the golden ape's blood, I locked in my focus and inked a flawless talisman in a single, smooth motion. The moment I activated it, a roaring golden ape materialized out of nowhere. She was totally stunned, practically begging me to walk her through it again. I told her to grab the brush, then stepped up behind her, taking her hand in mine, to guide her through each and every line. We tried once, then twice, and kept going. Somewhere along the line, the vibe shifted. We were pressed tightly together, my chin brushing against her shoulder, and my breath warm against her ear. Her hand started shaking, but it had nothing to do with drawing talismans. Her whole body grew flushed against mine, and I wasn't exactly keeping my cool either. Our eyes locked. It was like throwing a spark on a dry wood. Suddenly, a beast's roar completely ruined the moment. Luluashi recoiled instantly, her face turning red as a beet, adjusting her hair while looking anywhere but at me. Clearing my throat awkwardly, I told her. She'd actually made huge strides with her talisman crafting. An awkward silence hung between us, until I tried breaking the ice by saying, "The moon looks lovely tonight." She gave a gentle nod. Hum. Yeah, right. Little White chimed in from below. "Master, it's pitch black up there. What moonlight are you even looking at?" We both glanced up at the completely dark sky, then simultaneously burst out laughing. I told her she possessed the most stunning smile I'd ever seen, and that she really ought to smile more often. Going quiet, she murmured that her smile couldn't possibly match my fiancée, Nan Gongyin, the city's top beauty, as they call her, betrothed to me by imperial decree. I teased if she was being jealous. She insisted she had no right to be, seeing as she was nobody to me. Talk about a classic case of pure jealousy. I took the wind element, Beast Core, from the slain golden ape and wrapped it in a talisman paper. On it, I'd quickly scribbled a sketch of a smiling girl alongside a small note. "Smile more each day. You'll see the world is actually beautiful, silly. Keep it up." Accepting the gift, she read the lines, her eyes instantly welling with tears. She called me a total idiot through her tears. I wanted to hold her, but before I could even take 2 steps, shouts echoed from inside the woods. "Young master!" Long Shan and a crowd of disciples were approaching. We quickly moved apart. Luluashi and I shifted over to a different spot first, and then I shouted out so the others could spot me. Faking exhaustion, I explained to the group that Luluashi had rescued me from the golden ape. Long Shan fell to his knees, offering her his deepest thanks. Representing the entire Long clan, she masked her emotions again, coldly replying that it was no big deal. Just then, Tian and Ijan arrived, fretting over both me and their sister. Tian kept pressing Luluashi, asking why she was giving such weird looks. Luluashi was actually trying her hardest to signal her to shut up, hoping she wouldn't accidentally let slip that they had come solely to protect me. She grabbed both sisters and hauled them away. As they walked off, Tian began grilling Luluashi about what went down during their night. Spent entirely alone. A solo guy, a solo girl in the dead of night, and a narrow brush with death. Something definitely happened, right? Luluashi bolted after her, threatening to beat her up. Tian squealed, teasing that she'd clearly hit a nerve. Luluashi tucked my small sketch inside her robes, pressing it to her heart as she watched the sunrise. Inhaling deeply, she beamed and cheered. What a gorgeous day! Her sisters watched in utter disbelief. She's altered, becoming even more stunning now. Meanwhile, back at the valley's entrance, the initial round concluded and disciples streamed out one by one. Long Ao's I twitched violently when he spotted me alive. He muttered under his breath, "You survive this? Just wait. The arena matches will be the end of you." The three major factions, and the imperial family, had spent the entire previous day celebrating, certain that the Long clan was utterly ruined. They stationed lookouts at the city gates, anticipating that fewer than 20 disciples would make it back. Instead, over 50 returned, leaving them completely dumbfounded. Their hitmen had already wiped out half, and that level 5 beast should have slaughtered the rest. Things had clearly gone south after their retreat, yet they just couldn't pinpoint why. Meanwhile, at the Long family arena, Long Jianwu's very first question wasn't checking on how many disciples made it out. He just wanted to know if I was dead. The second he heard I was still breathing, he practically hit the roof. He ripped into Long Johnny for botching the hit. Brooding over the shadow guild hitman, dozens of clan turncoats, and a rampaging level 5 monster. Yet, somehow I still walked out alive. Long Johnny swore the assassin would finish the job. But tonight, Long Ao came bursting in first, hollering for his old man. Long Jianwu's loyal lackeys followed him, grinning ear to ear, but the disciples trailing behind them wore completely different looks. They looked stone-cold, bitter, and furious. They knew Long Jianwu had straight up abandoned them to die, fully aware of the monster, while blocking them from escaping, or calling off the trial early. Just then, Long Shan's voice boomed out. "The young master has returned." Every single disciple who owed their life to me instantly stood at attention. The moment I stepped through the gates, they all roared as one. "Young master!" The salute echoed across the entire estate. Long Jianwu was visibly shaking, not out of fear, but pure, unadulterated rage. I had won over their loyalty, and he could feel his power slipping away. I strolled right up to him with a grin. "Grand Elder, I'm back. Sorry to let you down." He forced a tight smile, claiming he was thrilled. Long Ao just sneered, mockingly asking how many beasts I'd even managed to hunt down, even offering to spot me some of his own kills, just so I wouldn't completely disgrace the family. His sidekicks burst out laughing. Long Shan stepped up to back me up, but Long Ao shut him down with the nastiest insult he could muster. "You aren't even a real Long. Your last name was just handed to you. Who are you to talk?" That was a total low blow, not just for Long Shan, but for all the disciples, whose ancestors actually earned the Long name through serving on the battlefield, rather than by blood. I wasn't about to let that slide. I smacked Long Ao across the face so hard. He hit the dirt with blood spitting from his mouth. I made it clear to everyone there that the founding ancestors' own decree declares that anyone carrying the Long name is a true descendant of the Long family. Long Ao had just insulted those very ancestors and dissed the warriors who built this family from scratch. I looked straight at Long Jinwo. "Grand Elder, was I wrong to check him?" Long Ao scrambled up, screaming threats, so I slapped him right back down and knocked out his front teeth. "Threatening the young master? When will you ever learn?" He crawled over to his dad, crying for payback. Long Jianwu barked at him to shut up. He was completely losing face, but those two slaps hit Long Jinwu's pride, just as much as they hit his son's face. For Long Shan and every adopted surname disciple, watching those slaps meant the world. Someone finally had their backs, and my respect in their eyes absolutely skyrocketed. Then Long Jinwu made his play. He said since I claimed to be the young master, I'd better back it up with the young master's skills. If I didn't lock down first place in the opening round, he'd strip my title, so I glared right back at him. "Grand Elder, are you trying to kick me out?" Long Jianwu finally stopped playing nice. He declared that, as the Grand Elder, he had full power to revoke my position if I didn't lock down first place in this initial round. My days as young master were officially over. Long Shan and the rest of the disciples voiced their protest. The Great Elder and the clan leader were both still very much alive, and they were the only ones authorized to remove me. Long Jianwu unleashed his intimidating Battle King aura to shut them all up instantly. So I asked, "And what happens if I actually take first?" Before Long John Woo could even open his mouth, Long AO cut in. If you manage to win, I'll literally eat crap right in front of everyone. The guy was completely full of himself. He had over a dozen battle spirit level disciples, hunting down beasts for his sake throughout the entire trial. I countered by suggesting we up the ante. If I win, both father and son eat crap together. Long AO agreed to it without a single second thought, and immediately sent someone to grab a pot from the latrine. The tallying process kicked off, and one by one, the disciples came forward with their hunting tallies. Most brought in pretty average scores, but then Long AO strutted up, smirking right at me. He dumped out 150 fire wolf heads. Then he tapped into a second storage ring and dramatically whipped out 10 level 2 demon beasts. The surrounding crowd gasped. His final tally? A whopping 2,000 points, shattering the Long family record. He marched straight over and shoved that pot of fresh feces right in my face, telling me to dig in. Long Sean quickly blocked his path, offering to eat it in my place instead. A few other loyal disciples stepped up to do the same. I was genuinely moved, but I didn't need anyone taking the fall for me. I walked right up to the scoring elder and announced, "Check this out." I began pulling fire. Wolf heads straight out of my storage ring. The count just kept on rising. 36, 100, 73, 50, 500, 97, 80, 780 level 1 fire wolves, and that wasn't even the whole batch. I hadn't even bothered to harvest the heads from a ton of my kills. Had I done so, the total would have easily doubled. The entire arena went completely silent. The elder declared 780 level 1 beasts, 7,800 points. First place. Strolling over to Long AO, I tapped his frozen, dumbfounded face. "So, who's eating what now?" Snapping out of his daze, he shrieked that all of my prey was just total trash. Level 1 garbage. Where are your level 2 kills? If you couldn't even take down a level 2 beast, you've got no right to be. The young master, Zhang Wu, backed his claim, insisting I show a level 2 beast or higher. Otherwise my score was void and I'd lose the wager. Cheating. Pure. Unabashed cheating. I maintained a calm tone. I don't possess any level 2 beasts. Long AO howled with pure delight. Then you lose. Eat. Before he could finish, I reached deep into my storage ring, gripped a massive object, and hauled it out with every bit of my strength. But I do have this. The decapitated head of the great power golden ape. The peak. Level 5 monster that had terrorized the whole valley. Crashed down onto the arena floor like a miniature mountain. Its lifeless eyes happened to point straight at Long AO. He tumbled backward, scrambling away on all fours, shaking like a leaf. The whole Colosseum went stone cold, dead silent. No one could manage a single sound. If I was in a wreck him, I was in a wreck him for good. Standing right above the golden ape's decapitated head, I roared out across the entire venue. "Go on, keep laughing. Call me a loser. Tell me I don't deserve the young master title. Say it to my face again, I dare you." Nobody uttered a peep. Every single person who'd ever mocked me couldn't even look me in the eye. My sheer presence alone was weighing down heavily on the crowd. Staring directly at Long John, I asked, "Well, do you yield or what?" He unleashed his Battle King aura at maximum power, desperately trying to crush me. My body felt like it was getting totally flattened. The diamond shield couldn't deflect raw pressure attacks, tied to such a massive level gap. I was catching total hell, but I didn't back down. I yelled even louder, "Who's the loser now?" Long John and the disciples backing me up were absolutely hyped. They roared right back, "Long John, who lost?" I smirked through the suffocating weight. "Grand Elder, a bet's a bet. Pay up, please." Meanwhile, Long AO was scrambling away on all fours, trying to sneak off into the spectators. Leaping right over him, I cut off his escape. He immediately started begging, calling me brother, and claiming it was all just a joke. I brought up every single beating he gave me over the past year, plus every hit job he ordered, including that shadow guild assassin, and now he wants to act like family? Too late. I snatched him by the neck like a duck, hauled him over to the bucket of filth, and shoved his face right into it. He flailed wildly, screaming for his daddy. As he chewed, Long Zhanwu's eyes were totally bloodshot. I flashed a smile and offered him a shot. He completely flipped, screaming that I was a dead man. I just dared him to go ahead and take me out. Right here, in front of the entire clan. Let everybody witness. The Grand Elder slaughtering the young master. Man, what a legacy that would leave. Long Johnny grabbed his brother and frantically whispered for him not to fall into my trap. Executing the young master in public would ruin any shot at ever running the family. Long Zhanwu swallowed his fury, flicked his sleeve, and declared that the opening round was over. Arena duels tomorrow, he spat at me. You'd better stay alive to back up that trash talk. Then he had them haul Long AO away, who was out cold, and stormed off. The entire arena erupted into wild cheers. Young Master is a beast. Young Master rules. Longshan's men were hyping it up, like they'd won a war. Meanwhile, my back was drenched in cold sweat. That Battle King aura felt way heavier than facing down the Golden Ape. But I didn't let a single soul notice. A few folks still doubted me, muttering under their breath that I was playing with fire, that the ape's head might not even be my doing, and that I'd get wrecked in tomorrow's ring. Let him talk. Here is the bottom line. Nobody in the Long clan would ever call me a loser. Again. The word spread through the whole city in just a few hours. Prince Nangong was completely stunned, though his informants figured that the heavenly sect chick must have taken down the beast. While I just rode her coattails, he decided to check out tomorrow's arena matches in person. The Zhuge family and Marshallese Hall did too, and even the Emperor came to the same conclusion. By tomorrow, every big shot in the city would be locked in on my match. They were all dying to know one thing. Was the prodigy Long Fei truly back? Meanwhile, Long Zhongwu was throwing a fit backstage, trashing his men as useless for letting me breathe. His disciples just stood there, heads bowed in sheer terror. Long AO was still flat on the deck, puking up whatever he'd been forced to swallow. Then, someone let slip that I had ties to the heavenly sect. That definitely caught Long Zhongwu's eye, making him way more hellbent on finishing me. Just then, Long Zhongyu burst in with bigger news. The three great pillars and the royals themselves were heading down to watch tomorrow's arena showdowns. The whole town was talking about me, taking down a level 5 beast. Add that to the dragon roar from earlier, and everyone was wondering if I'd unlocked my dragon god bloodline again. Long Zhongwu knew that if I actually pulled it off, I could rally the Long family's legendary Iron Cavalry, a force that takes orders only from the Grand Elder, or a true dragon god warrior, which scared him stiff. Even so, he didn't want me taken out quietly. He wanted me dead right out in the open ring, ensuring the entire clan watched me crash and abandoned all hope in me for good. That way, even after kicking the bucket, I'd just be remembered as a total loser. Clearing his path straight to the head of the family, he whispered a low-key plan to Long Zhongya, who gave a solemn nod and slipped out to set it up. As for me, I headed straight home from the ring. Chow Chow welcomed me with a warm smile and dinner waiting. She'd caught the whole thing from a hidden spot in the stands. Every single second, I was pushed to the brink. It broke her heart that during the 3 days I was gone, she tried her best to cultivate, yet she still failed to feel even a shred of spiritual energy. She felt so worthless and blamed herself, but she masked all that pain behind a sweet smile. Just to keep me from worrying, I scarfed down dinner, made sure Long Jinwu's goons weren't tailing me, and told Zhao Zhao to stay put inside while I headed out. Once I arrived at Fenyuan shop, the clerk, Jia Er, totally geeked out over me like a fanboy. He called me a total legend for taking down that level 5 beast. I ordered him to brew me an entire pot of spirit liquid tea. Surprisingly, he already had it good to go this time. Elder Lu figured I'd be dropping by. Elder Lu walked downstairs and gave me his congrats. I let out a massive sigh and muttered, "Man, I really try to fly under the radar, but when you look this good, you just can't help but stand out." Then I cut straight to the chase. I required 100 batches of true spirit pill ingredients, plus another 100 batches for healing pills, ASAP. Tomorrow's arena matches were bound to be a brutal, grueling grind. Jinwu was definitely going to throw everything he had at me. Besides, I completely exhausted my pill supply back in Firewolf Valley. Elder Lu already had the whole stash packed up and waiting. But then he brought up my success rate with true spirit pills. When I answered 50%, he literally started hacking and coughing, his face flushing bright red. The guy had spent decades working as an alchemist, and he couldn't even manage a 10% rate for true spirit pills. Even high-ranking masters couldn't reach a 50% success rate. Yet I'd only been making them a few days and already hit that mark. He clutched at his chest and let out a painful groan. Ugh, my liver hurts. That poor old guy's liver was going to give out entirely. Long before I ever managed to skip town, I snatched up the herbs and turned around to leave, but Elder Lu called out to stop me. He asked me directly, as if my dragon god bloodline had awakened. Turns out, the whole city was banking on that. I mean, how else does a nobody drop a tier 5 beast and straight up challenge a battle king? He had figured it all out. The dragon god bloodline sits right at the top of the mainland's 10 legendary heritages. It boosts absolutely everything: cultivation, alchemy, making talismans, and battle instincts. My crazy fast progress had everyone totally fooled. I was secretly laughing. Dragon God Bloodline? Seriously? My Berserk system is worth 10,000 times more than any bloodline. But hey, I didn't set him straight. Let them guess whatever they want. He warned me that the three major clans and the royals themselves would be showing up at tomorrow's showdown. They want to see if my powers have actually returned. If they think it's back, they'll target me all over again. Just like the bastards who trashed my core. The first time around, I squeezed my fist tight. So, they want to bleed me dry and crush my Dantian again? Bring it on. I thanked Elder Liu and took off. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Fu Yunshan, the young lady of the Fenyuan Alliance, made up her mind to watch tomorrow's fight in person. Even the three sisters from the heavenly sect were heading over. Tian made it clear that she's the only one allowed to mess with me, and anyone else trying it would have to face her fists. Yijin teased her about having a massive crush. Lu Luashi agreed to tag along as well. She claimed it was just out of curiosity, but truth is, I'd been stuck in her head. Ever since we split up, when I got back home, I called out for Chow Chow. Nothing. My heart dropped. I yelled her name louder, and finally caught her voice coming from the main hall. I barged inside and spotted her sitting there, right beside the masked Sha Yu Guild killer. Pure Raja consumed me. I triggered my lingering wave steps, closing the gap in heartbeat. I warned the hitwoman that if she laid a finger on Xiao Xiao, she wouldn't be walking out of this room alive. Chow! Chow quickly blurted out that she was okay and unharmed. I scanned her, no scratches. Then I faced the assassin and demanded, I'm your target. Let her go and my life is yours. Chow Sriakith. No, take me instead. I glared back at the assassin. Harm Chow Chow, and you're dead. Your contract is on my head, so come get it. The killer blurred like a phantom, her freezing blade, halting just millimeters from my forehead. I didn't even blink. She questioned, are you not scared to die? I gave it to her straight. I'm absolutely terrified, more than anyone. But she means the world to me. Her survival outweighs my own. The hitwoman seemed thrown off. She's merely a maid. Just a pretty face. Is she truly worth throwing your life away for? Yes, I replied without a second thought. Because Chow was the very first soul in this realm, who showed me genuine kindness. She was ready to shield me with her own body. From that day on, I vowed I'd die before letting anyone touch a hair on her head. Just then, I spotted blood spilling from the assassin's sleeve. She was gravely wounded. Her weapon slipped from her grasp, and her vision went dark. She collapsed forward into my arms, murmuring, Save me. The hitwoman slumped right into my grip, bleeding out fast. I yelled for Chow to help. A blade had pierced, clean through the lady's torso. A deep, lethal gash. I was completely fresh out of healing pills. So I dashed outside and whipped one up right then and there. Just a few minutes later, I passed a top-tier healing pill over to Chow, but when I tried heading inside to check on the patient, Chow blocked the doorway. Since the wound was right on her chest, apparently, a guy seeing that would completely ruin her virtue. Okay, maybe I peeked through the crack in the door and caught a sneaky glimpse of some killer curves. Chow stomped her foot and kicked me out. I pulled an all-nighter brewing more pills. Basic healing pills were a breeze by now. No real challenge at all. But true spirit pills were still stuck at a lousy 50% success rate. Something about the recipe felt off. Like a couple of the herbs were reacting badly. Though I hadn't pinpointed the culprits just yet. By the midnight mark, my alchemy skill leveled up to yellow grade rank 6. Right then, Xiao rushed out to say the assassin had woken up. I stepped inside, keeping my guard up. Earlier, when she pointed that blade right at my face, I'd already secretly triggered my diamond shield. I wasn't actually risking my neck. I'm no fool, but I needed her to think I was. When I asked how she got wrecked, her reply caught me off guard. Turns out, she wasn't with the Xiaoyu Guild at all. She and her mentor were just frauds, posing as Xiaoyu contract killers, simply because it fetches a fatter paycheck. This was their very first gig, trying to play the part. And they jumped on it. See, Long John Woo put up 50 million silver. The initial hit was actually on Long John High, but things flipped, and that 50 mil bounty landed on me instead. Long John Woo wanted me wiped out right in the arena. As for why she was all busted up, she tried to walk away from the gig. Her master jumped her on Long John Woo's orders. She barely made it out, turning to me as a last resort, mostly because she'd secretly clocked me killing the golden ape. She knew I had the muscle to keep her safe. She practically begged for asylum, swore she'd do anything, kill, steal, whatever it took, just to survive. Long enough to get square with her master. I asked her straight up, why trust someone who stabs their own boss in the back? She locked eyes with me and said, until my vengeance is done, I'm yours completely. But I've got to live first. Corpses don't get payback. No vese, no sugar quating. Honestly, I kind of respected that. Xiao Xiao was already entirely on her team. Naturally, she filled me in. The girl's whole family had been slaughtered, and she'd been treated like dirt her entire life. I told Xiao Xiao she was being way too naive. Then I told the assassin. I'd make my call after tomorrow's arena match. If her story held water, she could crash with us. Truth was, my mind was already made up. I needed a hand like hers. Someone down to handle the messy stuff. But trust had to be earned first. Plus, she was drop-dead gorgeous. A total killer beauty, literally. The arena was packed way before dawn. Not a single empty seat. People were jammed in shoulder to shoulder. The Long clan. Hadn't seen a turnout like this in ages. They'd all gathered solely because of me. Hyped to see if the Dragon God lineage was actually back. Long Shan and his crew were working the room hard, hyping up the massive head of the golden ape. That was still parked right in the center stage. They bragged to everyone about how I'd taken it down no sweat. Pretty clever, honestly, building up my clout before I even made an appearance. But then the VIPs started showing up, and each arrival felt like a straight-up disrespect to the Long family. First up was Zhuge Tianlong. The Lord of Zhuge, divine manner, rolled in alongside his boy, Zhuge Jinsheng. The brat immediately trashed our arena for being cheap, and called our family broke. His dad put on a show of chewing him out, but then threw even more shade, with some fake praise about our 10 millennium heritage. They were literally clowning us under our own roof. Next, Prince Nangong lay showed face, bringing along my supposed bride-to-be, Nangong Yin in tow. She strutted and linked arm in arm with some random dude, giggling and flirting right in front of the whole crowd. Mind you, this was the Long family estate, and she was promised to me by royal order. Yet there she was, clinging to another guy without showing an ounce of shame. Everyone noticed, but nobody dared to say a word, though the insult definitely stung. Then Li Chong Tian from the Lee Marshal Hall marched right in flanked by 2 rows of heavily armed troops, acting like he was stepping onto a war zone, rather than showing up for a family gathering. Just another slap in the face. Finally, a high-ranking prince from the imperial court, Nangong Xiao, made his entrance. Right off the bat, he bitched about our tea being cheap crap, and even joked about renaming our clan to the Dog family. Old Johnny just stood there, forcing down his anger, since he really couldn't afford to pick fights right now. Literally every single guest treated us like total garbage. Man, if the Long family were still in their prime, their heads would have been rolling across the floor by now. Behind closed doors, Long John didn't give a damn about all the disrespect. He was only laser-focused on one thing. He pressed Long Jania on whether everything was set to go. The verdict? All 16 arena fighters besides me were on their payroll, and the master of that fake assassin had already been slipped into the group, posing as a disciple of the Long family. Perfect, Long Jianwu muttered with a chilling smirk. Today, Long Fei is history. Just then, the crowd started buzzing. The young master's here. Long Shan and his 18 guards had suited up in full ceremonial dragon armor. They marched out in 2 flawless columns, slamming their spears into the ground in perfect sync, each heavy step echoing like thunder through the arena. They halted right next to me, dropped to one knee, and bellowed. In unison, we offer our highest respects to the young master. The sheer noise literally shook the entire estate. The moment I stepped onto the field, something completely wild happened. It wasn't just Long Shan's guards taking knee. Every single Long family disciple present in the stadium dropped down instantly and roared out, "Our respects to the young master," like a thunderclap. Maybe it was because those 3 powerful figures, and the prince, had completely humiliated the clan earlier that morning. Or maybe they were just sick of Long John Wu sitting on his hands, while a bunch of outsiders spat straight in our faces. Whatever the reason, right then and there, the whole clan selected me. Long John Wu looked absolutely murderous. The guests seemed totally caught off guard. I maintained my cool, ordered everyone up, and walked on the fighting stage. Zhuge Jinsheng couldn't keep his mouth shut. He trash-talked me as a total waste, insulted our ring, and mocked the sentries. Long Shang and the guards stepped up to handle him, but I held him back. I gestured toward Zhuge Tianlong and questioned why he brought a dog into our house. Zhuge Jinsheng completely lost it. He lunged straight at me, throwing a strike named Fierce Tiger roaring through the forest. Heavy-hitting style, intense shockwave. I intercepted him mid-air with Mountain Smash Fist, and the system activated the Golden Ape's divine power. Hitting that 10% chance, our knuckles clashed. Every single bone in his right arm shattered on impact. He slammed into the dirt, howling like a hog getting butchered. With one strike, I landed right beside him, using the Phantom Wind Shadow Steps. Before anyone could even blink, I pinned his throat under my boot. Staring right at Juggernaut Long, I said, "Assaulting the Long family's young heir, right inside the Long family's own estate. The penalty is death." Longshan bellowed. "The young master is incredible." Jujuteo Long stood up, oozing pure homicidal intent. I reminded him that everyone present witnessed his son strike first. There was no hiding it. Yugajin Cheyenne kept cursing from beneath my boot. I smacked him. He swore again. So I smacked him again. Each time, I locked eyes with his father. Every strike to the son's face was a slap to the father's pride. Then, I ground my heel harder into Yugo Jinxiang's neck. He began gasping, pleading for his dad to rescue him. I laid out my terms to Zhuge Tianlong. The Zhuge, divine manner, must issue a formal apology to the Long family. He scanned the room for backup. Prince Nangong Xiao just took a sip of tea and acted like he didn't notice. Nangong Lei and Li Chong Tian averted their eyes. No one was going to bail him out. Not merely a personal apology, but a full clan apology for today's disrespect, and for every Long family disciple who perished in the flames of Wolf Valley because of their hitmen. With his boy's life on the line, Zhuge Tianlong didn't have a choice. He lowered his head and declared, "The Zhuge divine manner begs forgiveness from the Long family." I let go of Zhuge Jinxiang's neck and booted him across the ring right to his father. Then I glanced up at the heavens and softly told all those fallen Long family disciples, "Rest easy, guys. This is merely the opening act. I'm getting payback for every single one of you." The stadium absolutely erupted. Longshan brandished his spear and roared, "The young master is legendary." Every single disciple, every single attendant, the entire clan chimed in. Some of them had tears rolling down their cheeks. For decades, the Long family had been forced to eat dirt. But today, I made the Zhuge divine manner bow down. Right on our own turf. For the first time in ages, the Long family could finally walk tall. This was my home, my people, and nobody, absolutely nobody, was going to play us like that here while I'm still breathing. Long Zhanwu stepped forward with a smirk, first giving a nod to Zhuge Tianlong, and basically making excuses for my actions, painting me as reckless and completely unrefined, crawling to the enemy right after. I just earned back some pride for the family. It disgusted everyone. Then he dropped a new rule that nobody had ever heard of before: the arena challenges. Every contender had to pass a bloodline potential test. Right here, right now, in front of all the outsiders. Everyone knew exactly what his game was. The whole city was buzzing about whether I'd truly regained my dragon god bloodline. This test was a setup to either humiliate me in public or confirm it, so the three pillars could plot another hit. Longshan put up a loud protest. Others followed, but Longshan Wu didn't give a damn. He declared that anyone refusing the test would be kicked out of the tournament. I was cornered, decline, and lose everything, or accept. I knew the truth. I had no dragon god bloodline, not a drop. My power came from the berserk system, not from any bloodline. The test would read 0, and everyone in this arena would see me exposed. As the fraud they'd always labeled me. A total waste, but backing down wasn't an option either. I clenched my fists, then let them go. I accept. The arena erupted in shock. The outsiders smirked. Nangong Lei narrowed his eyes, wondering if I'd actually recovered. My fiancée, Nangong Een, looked anxious. She was praying I hadn't. The testing began. One by one, the 16 competitors pressed their hands against the black detection stone. Every single one of them was Long John Wu's puppet, Long Shan. Confirmed that all 15 besides me had been handpicked by the Grand Elder, including replacements, who hadn't even passed the first round. I kept a close eye on each of them, hunting for the mastermind behind that imposter. Right when this guy, named Long Fu, stepped forward, a Tier 5 battle spirit, with a dragon blood awakening level of 50%. I zeroed in on him. He was definitely the culprit. I was positive. But right then, they called my name, and the whole Coliseum went dead silent. Everyone was straining to get a look, and the VIPs actually stood up to watch. The Long Clan disciples were buzzing with excitement, dead certain that my true heritage had awakened. They desperately wanted me to be the legendary Dragon God warrior. Man, you could practically feel the weight of their hope. Stepping up, I pressed my hand against the dark monolith, focused my inner chi, and let a single drop of blood fall. The stone drank it right up, and we all waited. 30 seconds ticked by, but nothing happened. There wasn't even a glimmer of light. Then the proctor's voice boomed across the completely hushed stadium. Long Fei, Tier 1 battle spirit, dragon blood awakening rate 0. The verdict crashed down on the crowd like a bomb. 0. Not a single drop of dragon blood. The Long family disciples, who had bet everything on me, Looked like they'd just seen a ghost. A few collapsed right onto the floor, muttering that this couldn't possibly be real, insisting the testing stone had to be malfunctioning. Long Sean could barely keep his footing, imploring me to give another shot. I just gave a calm shake of my head. No point. Long Jianwu started laughing like a total lunatic, jeering that even the clan's stray dogs had a better dragon blood awakening rate than I did. His lackeys chimed right in, calling me a stray mutt, and joking that I was probably adopted off the streets. They unleashed every shred of bitterness they'd been suppressing. Even my so-called fiancée, Nan Gongyan, shot me a look of utter scorn and told her dad that the show wasn't even worth watching anymore. She was already plotting how to dump me and break our engagement. She had never given me anything but pure revulsion, and right now, it was written all over her face. The prince, the head of the Li family, and Zhuge Tianlong all let their guard down and started smirking. False alarm. The former prodigy was still just a loser. Even Fu Yinshan, along with Elder Liu standing in the crowd, couldn't make sense of it. If I lacked the dragon bloodline, how on earth was I making top-tier pills and talismans? Long Jianwu stepped in close and muttered that I didn't even have the right to face him anymore. No dragon blood meant no shot at being a dragon god warrior. No chance to command the clan's army. And zero future. He warned me to ditch the Long family right away, while I still had the chance. Because once the arena duel kicked off, I'd end up dead on that stage. Staring back at him, I only asked one thing. Are you scared? He just scoffed, asking why he'd ever fear someone with zero activation. But here's what none of them got. The supreme power of the dragon god bloodline meant absolutely nothing to me. It was a total joke next to my berserk system. Dragon blood wasn't even worth bringing up. My system was capable of things no bloodline in this world could ever dream of achieving. I didn't feel a thing, no embarrassment, no resentment, and no dread. I had already unmasked everyone's true colors today, especially Nangongyan's. Let them mock me. Let them feel completely safe and superior. They had absolutely no clue what was coming for them. Long Jianwu bellowed. The arena tournament begins right now. As the opening bout was called out, Long Fei versus Long Lin, third-rank battle spirit. Long Lin leaped onto the platform, glaring down at me with a smirk. Get up here and catch this death sentence. Long Shan grabbed my arm, telling me to keep my guard up. I just grinned. Time to show these fools what zero dragon blood is truly capable of. On paper, I was the absolute weakest link in the tournament. A mere first-level battle spirit facing 15 distinct warriors, who all outranked me the second that blood test came back negative. Any lingering dread they had of me instantly vanished into thin air. Their swagger was fully restored, and they were starving for the chance to be the one to take me off the board. Long Lin was the first to vault onto the stage, talking trash, spouting nonsense about how I ought to drop to my knees and beg for mercy. I countered by offering him a counter-proposal instead. Insult Long Jianwu, call him a miserable old hound, and I'll let you walk away. He lunged with both claws extended, his battle spirit energy burning violently, targeting my throat directly. I stood there, refusing to budge. The crowd assumed I was paralyzed with terror, but the split second his hand got within range, I unleashed a brutal mountain-smashing fist strike. His entire right hand instantly disintegrated to dust upon impact, before he could even attempt to recoil backward. I activated my lingering wave technique, reappearing right behind his blind spot. I vaulted skyward, mimicking the exact style of the golden ape, locked both hands high above my head, and slammed them straight down into his skull. His head cracked wide open, and every single bone in his body shattered. The guy was finished before his corpse even touched the floor. I kicked his lifeless body straight off the platform, strolled right to the center, and locked eyes directly with Long Jianwu. Who's next? The entire Colosseum went dead silent. Nobody could comprehend what they'd just witnessed. A first-tier battle spirit had completely pulverized a third-tier battle spirit. In just 2 moves, they couldn't even track how I pulled it off. Long Shan's inner fire instantly blazed back to life. The young master is truly unstoppable. The 3 major pillar leaders were left completely speechless. They immediately began dissecting my moves, from elusive footwork to that crushing fist technique. Elder Liu, blending into the crowd, spotted the steps. As the mysterious martial arts manual from the auction, he nearly suffered a heart attack. Once Fu Yinshan valued it at no less than 8th rank. Earth grade, and I snagged it for just 1,000,000 silver. Long Jianwu desperately tried to play it cool. Giving him a smirk, I said, "You want me dead, right? Let's skip the foreplay and stop dragging this out. Just send the remaining 14 up here together." Total silence fell, followed by absolute pandemonium. Everyone started calling me a lunatic, cocky, and outright suicidal. Nangong Ing mocked. That taking down one weakling had inflated my ego. Long Zhongmu smirked. Hey, it's your funeral. Don't come crying to me. The next challenger made a flashy leap toward the arena. But before his feet could even touch down, I kicked him midair. He rocketed back dozens of meters, smashing straight into a roof. He spat up blood and expired right there, dangling from the eaves. Who's next? Another opponent cautiously stepped forward. A fourth-rank battle spirit. He began trash-talking, calling me trash. Yet before he could finish his very first sentence, I was already right in his face. I slammed both of my fists right into his ears at the same time. His head practically erupted in blood. As he collapsed, I booted his corpse right off the stage. Keep him coming. Every single one of Long Zhongmu's disciples was basically free. Experience points to me. Why on earth would I spare them? When you need to level up in a game, you don't skip the trash mobs. Once I had slaughtered 3 of them in a row, Long Zhongmu completely lost his cool and shrieked. All of you, tear him to pieces. 11 warriors swarmed the platform simultaneously. Only a single person stayed back, Long Fu. That undercover killer? I never took my eyes off him. They boxed me in, launching a perfectly coordinated assault. One lunges and backs off, then the next strikes right away. 0 openings. Not even room to breathe. They pinned me right against the edge of the ring. Fair play. I had to admit these guys weren't total rookies. That's when they sprung their little trap. One vaulted right over me, blade ready, while an entire squad of 8 charged straight at me. Another 2 weaponized combat pressure to mess with my head. Every exit was blocked. It was a straight-up death zone. The entire crowd was already cheering for my downfall. Nangong was smirking about how my end would officially call off our betrothal. The prince flat out called me an idiot. And Long John Wu was cackling that he wouldn't even need his hitman anymore. I just grinned. Offense is the ultimate defense, right? I hurled a top-tier tiger talisman directly at the guy above. A wind element tiger materialized out of nowhere and tore his throat out. Midair, in that exact same split second, I whipped out a curved rib bone from the golden ape, honed just like a blade, and unleashed the dragon-slaying blade technique. I instantly discharged the built-up kinetic energy into a crescent wave charged with the ape's sacred power. A single swing shattered all 8 offenses and sent every last one of them flying. Then I triggered the lingering wave steps, turning into a total blur. 1 slice, 1 casualty. Flesh ripped, dead. Tendons severed, dead. Bones snapped, dead. 8 kills in 8 seconds flat. Every single blow sliced a body clean in half. The stadium went dead silent. People were literally rubbing their eyes like, what just happened? No way, I must be seeing things. Nangong Yan's expression underwent a total, turning completely pale and flushed. The 3 pillar chiefs were totally blown away. Long Zhongmu seemed like he was seeing a ghost. Ever since he could remember, genuine terror flashed deep in his gaze. The remaining pair of warriors fell straight to the ground, immediately trembling and pleading for mercy. They began trashing Long John Wu, labeling him a worthless old hound, spitting out whatever they figured I wanted to hear. I honestly didn't give a damn, since this duo had used psychic weight to break my spirit throughout the showdown.